studio button? There it is. Hello. I'm using a different mic than I've used ever. I just have this Blue Yeti sitting around, and I can't bring my headset in here yet, so let me know if the audio ducking is working correctly. Like when I talk, the music should get quieter. In fact, I think the music's a little too loud to begin with. Maybe more like that. There we go. Let me know if that music is still audible. Yeah, I'm in the big city now. You know, got my office here on the roof of the building. The NVIDIA RTX noise cancellation is just absolutely pristine. So really knocks that wind noise right out of the park. But seriously though, I'm kind of curious. You could probably getting a lot of transmitted noise through the base of the microphone. Probably getting a lot of thumps and whatnot. Not a whole lot I could do about it right now, but let me know. Let me know if that's a problem. Hello, bitmap. Let me look over here, and then I need to fix that right there. Try to do this away. Oh man, I gotta mute my Windows bonks. Donk. Okay. Oh, and then you know what? I was gonna make. Let's see. Let me duplicate this scene. I forgot to do this. Go up here. Yeah, there we go. Let me add a new video capture source. Okay, and that's gonna be. Where is? There we go. Okay, and that needs to be custom. 20 by 720. There we go. Okay. Oh, right there we go. All right, I'll just transform fit to screen. Just delete that there. There we go. Delete that there. Rename that. Sorry, I had to reset all of my. I had to reset pretty much all of my OBS layouts and like redo them. So I'm kind of figuring it out again. Figuring all that out. Okay, the other interesting thing is that so OBS Studio has added the ability to view the YouTube chat directly in the in OBS itself. But there's no reply field. I can't type a message, so that's kind of nuts. I don't know what use that's supposed to be. You still have to run a second window. I'm not like mad at OBS. You know, they're working with what they got, but still. Anyway, before I am going to be playing a video game today. But before I do that, I'm actually going to unpack some stuff that I got. As soon as I find my knife, where did I put my knife? Here it is. Anyway, I just thought, there we go. Anyway, I just thought with all the space that I've got in this place, I can actually do something like this, where I, actually point the camera somewhere other than directly at my face. Let's see, will this microphone reach? Let me just move some things here. It's an all new streaming setup for me. Never done it like this before. Anyway, so yeah, this guy here is sort of a mainstay of inexpensive photography and videography setups these days. It is the extremely Chinese Godox SL60. I have the SL60W, which I think that means that it's a cooler temperature than the non-W. Of course, being Chinese stuff, it comes with a microfiber cloth. go. So yeah, oh, hang on a second. No, I'm not running OBS on the Edge. This is actually running on my my girlfriend gave me her old HP Omen 15, so it's like an i7, I don't know, 7th gen or something. Anyway, come on. I always have trouble with these things. There we go. A little protective. Whoops. Anyway, yeah, so this is the SL60, and it's just, there you go. It's just an absolutely massive cob LED on there. It's like 1.5 inches or in square, something like that. This thing is equivalent to, like, I don't know, a couple hundred watts of light power. These are really cheap. This is like $180. It's not variable temperature, but it is variable output. So you can turn the brightness up and down. And it does have a little RF remote control. So you can remotely turn it on and off and that sort of thing. This is a little different than the ones I already had. It looks like they actually, I think they actually improved the baby pin mount down here a little bit. Hard to say. I mean, it's all, you know, it's plasticky, of course, but, you know, it does look like they made some improvements. Also, on the front here, you'll notice that there's these bayonet flanges here, there, and there. And that's because there's actually a standard for attaching diffusers, umbrellas, etc. to stage lights like this. I can't remember what the hell it's called. It's like a, I think it's a Bowen mount. And basically there's just a little release switch there. And you could put an umbrella on here and just click, lock it into place. It's really convenient. Anyway, I needed this because I needed a fill light. Also, oh, actually, here we go. See, it comes with this sort of reflector. Not very useful, but since this is a cob, most of the light goes forward anyway. But anyway, if you're using this for direct lighting for some reason, there we go. Just pops right on. It also comes with like a 20 foot? That might be a 20-foot IEC cable, which are just handy to have around. So anyway, that'll be my new key light, I think. Or fill light, I should say. And then this guy here. If you watch Linus Tech Tips, you'll recognize these. Elgato wave panels. I needed some more foam in here, and these are, well, they seem like one of the safer bets. A lot of people are like, I guess they're just buying hunks of foam and trying to make their own panels. I not only don't have time for that, I don't have time for it to fail. And based on, you know, reviews and whatnot, you can't trust anybody. Everyone's a shill. You know, Elgato is paying 1 million companies, or sorry, 1 million YouTubers and 1 million commenters on Amazon and everywhere else to say I'm an unbiased third party. Can't trust anyone. But it seems these things are ostensibly fairly decent. They come with a bunch of frame material, clips, mounting. I think those are adhesive pads. God, somewhere down in here is some foam. There we go. Ooh, that doesn't feel like I expected. Yeah, so Elgato Wave hexagonal foam panels. There's like a really tough, firm, almost like a felt feeling foam on the back. And then this stuff on the front, gosh, that almost feels like memory foam. That's really nice. That double density is supposed to be the trick with these things. I don't know. I have no idea how to objectively measure it anyway, but I just needed more foam. And one of the advantages of this stuff that actually is inarguable is that it's one of the cheapest options available. Just like in terms of square footage, it just I don't remember how much this was. It's like, I want to say it's like $90 for this box, something like that. I don't know. It's like 8 pounds, something like that. It's a pretty good price. So even if the stuff isn't that great, you know, I think you're still getting something out of it. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, I'm actually planning on displacing Nikki Flowers as the primary source of queer weather news on the internet. Anyway, my white balance is weird. If you're referring to this guy here, probably that's just some old webcam I had. Here, I guess it's, yeah, I suppose it's not amazing, is it? Part of that might be the chroma key. Part of it might be, hang on a second. See, if I turn the saturation up too much, then I start getting problems with the chroma key, which like isn't actually super critical, but well, you know. But if I actually adjust the white balance, yeah, I don't know. I kind of like it where it is. I know I look a little pale and like ghost-like, but I don't know. This doesn't look right. This doesn't look right to me. This looks more accurate. I think it's just that the saturation's a little low. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm gonna be over in the corner. Yeah, I do look like a news commentator. Well, maybe on talk radio where they just happen to have the camera set up, because you know. Anyway, and especially with the monitor hanging over here. But hey, we came here to play some video games. So I'm gonna play some video games. God, this is so uncomfortable. I don't have my proper gamer mouse with me. I gotta buy another one. So I'm gonna have one here. So at the moment, I just have a Lenovo mouse that is literally the cheapest mouse I have ever used. Like the stuff I used to get at like South Pacific Systems in Sacramento back in 2000, that was like no name, beige, you know, inland value brand, whatever, Great Value Mouse brand, still actually felt more solid than this and had more parts in it. I opened this thing up. I think, for my Q500 mouse video, and I found out that it doesn't even have a discrete LED. The LED illuminator in this thing is actually a surface mount, which no one I know has seen before. Even like modern optical mice. Well, obviously nowadays, most mice that you buy new that aren't leftover sludge from 10 years ago are actually laser mice, so they don't even have a discrete, they don't have an LED at all, surface mount or otherwise. They just have an integrated laser module. But you know, all the ones that actually have a red light on the damn bottom, there's almost always a discrete LED, just your typical teardrop, whatever the hell it is, it's called, LED. But this one, yeah, it's a single board. There's no retaining clips, no screws. You take one screw out to, no, I'm sorry, you take 3 screws out to open it. But then I think the board's just held in by clips. It's incredibly cheap. It feels really cheap. Yeah, it's rough. By the way, if anybody's curious, this is what it really looks like. I did in fact teal the wall. Patrons knew that a day ahead of time. But I figured I'd go ahead, since in my old studio I couldn't possibly put a computer in front of that wall. There was no room. Not to mention the fact that the table I was using wasn't at the right height to do that. But hey, you know, here I can do whatever I want. Anyway, yeah. So we're gonna play a video game today. I've been wanting to do it for a while. It's one of the more interesting. God, OBS Studio has changed their layout a little bit. It's one of the more, what I consider one of the more interesting build engine games. I'm on a build engine kick right now, as I'm sure several of you have realized if you've been keeping up. Yeah, a lot of mice actually have a steel plate in them. Which, I mean, it's not as cynical as it sounds. It's not just, make you think it costs more. I mean, weight is important. It's an important quality, having inertia and having something react in a way that your hand expects. That's important. So I honestly can't argue with it. So anyway, I'm about to start this game. We're going to get some video game music here, and it might be really loud. I'm not sure. Like I said, I just tried this out. I'm just trying the stream setting out. Yeah, it's a little loud. Let me turn that down. There we go. I think, let me know if my voice is reasonably audible over these sound effects and MIDI and whatnot. Oh, wait a minute. What's going on here? Oh, that's weird. So I'm running this game in what is supposed to be borderless windowed mode, but it's doing a screen switch, or it's doing a mode switch, so I gotta figure out what's going on there. I'm sorry, bear with me, folks. I only just got this set up. Yeah, I can't really be playing a game that I can't Alt-Tab out of. For what I'm doing here. I really like a proper streaming setup. You know, honest to job, what you really want is you want to have a second machine. Tub of water. You talking about right here? It's actually a oh, there we go. That's a lot better. It's actually a tub of miscellaneous cables, which I have parked here because this monitor that I'm using will actually sink. It tilts down if you don't shove something under it. I have been up into the Space Needle or Sneedle once. And that is the extent of my opinions on it. There we go. Window of same executable. Okay, and I guess I'll just take the whole... Okay, there we go. Yeah, the tub is interfering, but it's okay because... whoop! Now we're playing a video game. Just a moment. That makes sense. All right, let me just, yeah, this monitor isn't on like an Ergotron arm or anything. It's just on a Dell, tilt, rotate monitor arm that's just not designed for it. So it's just too heavy. Now, can I adjust this audio so that it won't stop playing when it's in the background? I guess not. All right. Well, anyway, yeah. So this is Witchhaven. And Witchhaven has a sort of a fascinating history in my mind. I actually have a shirt you may have seen before in a stream or something that says Capstone, the pinnacle of gaming entertainment. And Capstone is actually a company that made a bunch of budget titles, but they also made some really interesting, unusual, and ambitious games. For instance, they made the Tech War game, which obviously was a licensed title, but they went way past the sale. Like, they put way more effort into it than they remotely needed to, and then ran out of money and time, never completed it, and what they released was so broken it was unplayable. But that was also a build engine game. I think they actually made it before Duke Nukem 3D came out. I think it was a pre... I think it... in fact, this game, I think, may have come out before Duke Nukem 3D. I'm not sure if that's true. But anyway, they pushed a lot... they pushed the build engine quite a bit in both titles. But Witchhaven is interesting because this is actually a finished game, whereas Tech War really isn't. That's one cool thing about it. And the second cool thing is... growing up, I always thought it was weird that there were so few games where you could swing a sword. It used to be the case that if you wanted a game where you swung a sword and hit people, or maybe stabbed them with a sword, there were just very few options. Particularly on consoles, it was just, I don't know. Look, I was 12 and I liked swords, and I just couldn't get anything to satisfy that desire. So Witchhaven was interesting, but of course, this was in the dark ages where all my games were on shareware discs. I didn't have the commercial version of almost anything other than Doom and Duke Nukem 3D. Those were like the only actual commercial games I owned, and everything else was shareware. So I had the shareware of Witchhaven, which had controls I didn't understand, no manual. It was extremely dark. It was very confusing. There were mechanics that I didn't understand, and it's also like just a scary game if you're young. If you're like 8 years old, which I think is actually how old I was when I first played this. If you're like 8 years old and you don't know what's going on here, you know, it's dark and there's you'll see, but it was just very creepy to me, and I always wanted to know I always thought when I was a kid that it was a bad game and that it was a confusing game and that it was a unfinished game. I always had this idea in my head that it was unfinished. Well, then I went back and checked a year or two ago for the first time in decades and saw that, in fact, while it may not be good, it deserved more recognition than it got, and actually represents a fairly... just a moment. Thank you, 7th K. I actually, while this game is probably still crap, it is very interesting, and at the time that it came out in about 1995, there was really nothing like it, and I wish I had realized what it was and had understood how to play it. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So I'm going to play on lower difficulty because this game is hard as hell. Alright. By the way, I am playing on a source port of the build engine called Build GDX, which is able to play a bunch of build engine-based games other than Duke Nukem 3D, Tech War, Witchhaven, Witchhaven 2, and so on. But I've got it all set up so that it doesn't, you know, it is using a 3D renderer rather than the original sort of screen sharing 2D projection renderer, and it's also oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I don't want to talk over myself here, but I believe in the shareware version of this game, instead of this big door here, there was actually a gate, and you could see out to a horizon there, I want to say. And I was always fascinated by that as a kid. Anyway. Oh, yeah, the pillar boxing is because the menu is limited to 640 by 480. Because that's how big the graphics are, right? But when you actually get into the game, you can see it, you can extend out the status bar and all that. All right, so yeah, let's get into the world here. So this is one of the first terrifying things here. So all the monsters are claymation, or at least, you know, I don't know if they're clay literally, but they are based on physical models. And you can see a few things going on here. First off, this game is largely melee based, so you have to get in close and risk getting hurt, and boy howdy do you get hurt. It's really hard to avoid it, especially when they're getting up on you. There you go. Yeah, it's, like I said, this game is hard. Wow, it's actually harder than I'm used to. This is really hard. I might want to restart on easy. You know what? I'm going to restart on easy just so that I don't spend this whole time being frustrated. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. When you start on easy mode, you start with an upgraded sword. Oh, cool. So so here, let's go through this real quick. So your weapons in this game, you start out with you know, you got fists, and then you've got a dagger. And those are your weapons you can actually rely on, I believe. And then you have a short sword here. And then you've got a long... oh, wow. Actually, holy crap. It started me out with a lot of weapons. The mace. And then finally the broadsword. And I think that's it. Okay. So there's actually quite a few weapons in this. And here's why. There's actually weapon degradation. The weapons actually have durability. So it's like Breath of the Wild, where I'm going to have to be constantly picking up new weapons as I proceed. See, like for instance, right here. Oops, I'll explain that in a moment. If I didn't currently have my short sword, I'd be able to upgrade to a short sword at this point, but it doesn't last forever. So you have to, like, just like Breath of the Wild, you've got to spread your weapon durability around. Also, there's lava out here. And when I was a kid, I couldn't see this. The game was just too dark in the original version, so I couldn't actually see it. I didn't know why I was getting hurt. I would just walk over this and just get my ass kicked. Now, another interesting thing about this right off the bat, that again I didn't understand as a kid, is that if we go up here, there's actually an alternate path, so you don't have to go... When it starts out, these monsters are actually on two different factions. The green ones and the brown ones, I guess, hate each other. And so they're actually infighting when you enter. And again, I didn't understand that when I was a kid. I just saw this sort of cluster going on in the distance and didn't know why. You can actually climb over them if you want to either, you know, flank or just to jump down here and skip that whole encounter and run into the castle here. Let's see. I believe these are enemies. Maybe not. The other thing, though, is you know what? I think if I get back up there, I believe I can go through a tunnel. There's a bunch of secrets in this game. I think I can go through a little tunnel and get up into that little passage that you saw up there. Let's see if that's true. I go this way. Check for a door here. Can't remember how this is done. Yeah, I never memorized where the secrets are here. But I do notice that there's a little passage here, and I'll bet that if we race through that fast enough that we don't die. There we go. Okay, so now we're down here. We've got 35 health, but what's through this door? Whoa, big boys! Let me switch to my... There we go. This is the first time I've ever seen this secret area. I never noticed it when I was a kid. I don't even know if it was in the shareware. Anyway, so we'll get up here. All right, so we have a health potion, a strength potion, and a sapphire ring. I don't know what the ring is about, but yeah, it should be obvious at this point that this game is a, it's meant to be an RPG, right? So you've got the, instead of an item inventory like you had in Duke Nukem 3D, you have a potion bar, and you can actually have multiple of each potion. So there's 5 different potions, I believe, as you can see from the belt down there in the lower right, and you can stack them. So I'm going to health up here, so that gives me about 20 health, and then I think the strength potion is only for attack. I don't think it protects me from the lava, so I'm not going to waste it here. There's the question, like, yeah, there we go. Like, is that possibly worth it? I don't really know how you could get through there without dying. There must be some trick to it. I don't know, but anyway, I'm going to jump up here. They're all just kind of beating each other up. I'm going to go down over here, around, and into the castle. I want to say, is there a loading interval in here? Or open one of these walls or something like that? Anyway, I don't remember. Oh, rat. Oh, I didn't realize they could be attacked. Now, this is sort of characteristic of kind of the capstone style and the... Oh, actually, I don't believe this is using the Windows built-in synthesizer. I believe this is using a software one that's built in. Let me see. Yeah, there's options outside to switch to a sound font, and I might actually do that because this is kind of rough. Fire resistance. Okay, so you're supposed to go through the level, find a fire potion, and then come back through, go back there. Anyway, so, all right. This, right, I forgot about that. There's these periodic jump scares. I have no idea why. Again, as a kid, that absolutely made me shit my pants. Possibly literally, now that I think about it. I may have pooped in my drawers when that happened. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about the capstone situation. So some of this looks great. These torches are pretty good. The graphics of the weapons are pretty good. The monsters for the era are actually not bad or anything. But then look at these wall textures. This was a thing with Capstone. They put out a lot of games going back to like the Wolfenstein 3D engine era, and they had a tendency to use images that were imported from photographs, like digitized photos, and were basically converted into the game's palette naively. So you can see here, there's just a green pixel there, and there's all these obviously wrong red pixels and whatnot. It just looks like a bad, and of course the lack of contrast up here. So it just looks awful. If you go back and play one of their older games like Operation Body Count, it's got the same thing going on. Likewise, if you look at this door here, this was obviously a 3D render that they just naively converted into the game's palette. Just looks terrible. But in addition to that, they made a door texture that was meant to be quite a bit wider than this, and then just squished it to fit these doors. So bad choices all around. Just not very good workmanship. But then like the water here looks pretty good. It looks better than the Duke Nukem water. You know, it's better than the Doom water, I would say. And they're doing some very interesting things with level geometry. See, they've got this complicated, craggy kind of cave roof, which I should mention was hard to see in the original game because you didn't have the ability to mouse look like this. And they've actually bothered to make the the light shine through there and whatnot. Also, the water slows you down, right? Like we're wading through it. And then yeah, so the weapon pickups, they look great, and I believe as usual, yep, we can walk through the waterfall. And then look at this. Look what they've done here. You see this attention to detail? They even bothered like, oh, where does the water go when it gets down here? Why wouldn't it just fill up this pit? Answer: I mean, the fluid dynamics here don't make any sense, but still, this looks great, right? And then we can pick up the Chex Quest armor. The water is actually slowing me down. It's not pushing me, even though it looks like it should. See, I'm not actually moving. Although, it looks like you are, because when you fall off the steps there, for a moment, you're in free fall. You're in midair. And then your moving speed increases to the default maximum. So, anyway, yeah, so already you can see there's just a massive gradient of quality. A lot of attention to detail on like how these rooms are designed, little bezels here for the doors, stuff like that. Stuff that again often Duke Nukem 3D, Shadow Warrior, etc. didn't necessarily bother taking that much attention to detail. I think you can smash these barrels. I want to say monsters come out sometimes as usual. Get yourselves a health potion. By the way, I have no idea how many levels are in this game. I'm unlikely to play through a lot of them today. Here's another door where not only did they use a texture that is scaled incorrectly, but it's also not centered correctly. So this one should have been expanded horizontally. The walls here are also stretched pretty badly. And it's a little odd to see that attention to detail on the water, for instance, but then see them, and like this here, these little arches, they didn't need to do this, right? And the fact they bothered adding a shadow there, they didn't have to do that, but they did. But then, here we go. This is, well, I'm going to say at this point, I do need to give some, caveats here. We are playing on a source port. It's not impossible that it's scaling the textures incorrectly, because this is obviously this is more likely the door this texture was intended for, although really that looks like the 1-to-1 pixel scale for it. So maybe the door this texture was really intended for should have been like this wide. I don't know. But anyway, you can tell it looks considerably better here. If all the doors looked like this, they would look a lot less janky. But I remember, even as a kid, thinking, why do the textures look like that? It was really alienating. See, my response when I was growing up, adamantine ring, I have no idea what that does. When I was growing up, if I saw something in a video game that I didn't understand, my response, oh yeah, Spike Pit, I died in this as a kid, that also was upsetting. My response when I saw something I didn't understand in a game as a kid was to assume that I was out of the loop, that I didn't understand something that was supposed to be blindingly obvious. And so when I would see something in a game that baffled me, that killed me way easier than it should have, that sort of thing, and my response to it was to feel like I was a dumbass, or to feel like, well, I just felt uncomfortable a lot of the time. I just felt like I wasn't really sure why it was like that, and I just felt alienated and confused. I grew up, I found out a lot of the times because these games were either janky or they were very poor, just straight up very poorly made. So this is an interesting, I'm not sure how this works in the build engine, but this is an elevator. And I didn't think you could move sectors like this, but I guess you can. So you can see they're doing this like room over room stuff, using a bunch of floating sprites for bridges. You could absolutely do this in Duke Nukem 3D or any other build engine game, but the people at 3D Realms didn't put in nearly as much effort. That's not a dunk on them. It all depends on, I mean, again, this game is a big pile of problems that probably came out unfinished, like most of Capstone stuff. So let's not get too high and mighty here about 3D Realms not spending as much effort on some of these elements. But at the same time, again, here's a door that has the repeating vertical texture. Now, did they really need to make this door this tall? Couldn't they have just made it shorter so the texture actually fit? But then it opens from the top down instead of the bottom up, right? So, can you really dunk on it? Ah, bugs! Wait a minute, are those enemies? They're not attacking me. I don't really know what's going on there. You know, I'm gonna say I don't know for sure whether my weapon is gonna degrade in this mode because it's possible in easy mode that weapons don't degrade. I'm not really sure. So I just opened up a box and got an axe, which is obviously a big bastard of a weapon, good for murdering bosses, etc. So at this point, I've got like 4 or 5 different melee weapons, maybe more, that all work basically the same, except for having a slight difference in the, oops. Oh, I have a fire potion, don't I? I could have used that. Yep, I have a resist fire potion I could have used. So let's use that. Go get some armor, get some potion. There we go. Oh my god. Wow. So yeah, I think, you know, we've just seen a good representation of this game's whole energy, right? You know, give you a bunch of awesome stuff, and then when you take the obvious path forward, drop you in a spike pit. And this is sort of the old school in a very literal sense, you know, literally like, well, not, I don't think anybody was going to school for game development in 1995 yet, but what is this guy? A shield? Oh, I didn't even know I had a shield in this game. I had never realized that. I've just like never picked up this item before. Anyway, but very old school approach to game design, punishing the player with the understanding that they're going to be able to reload and try again, and just like ignoring the fact that the player is going to feel bad that that happened. It's going like, hey, whatever, you can just do it again. Okay, so there's a lot going on in here, obviously. You may have noticed that I have spells. So I actually have 2, these are the scare spell. Or I'm sorry, that's the scare spell. This is night vision. Those are the ones I have right now. So scare, unsurprisingly, just makes enemies run away from me. This turret, I don't think can be killed or stopped. It is, I think it did kill some of those other guys. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's that guy again. I don't know what he's about. I'm going to take a health potion here. But I don't know if I can run in and grab that pentagram, or if I should grab that pentagram, or what the deal is. So let's find out. Ow, okay, it really hurt. So there's this whole room we can go through. There's a pentagram over there as well. So there are some branching paths going on here, right? Let's acknowledge that. This game has already given us a path that we didn't follow quite some time ago. My sword did break. There was a path we didn't follow quite some ways back, and I don't know where it goes. We should probably go back and investigate, because maybe we can get our sword replaced. But even for the areas that you can go to, easily, on the obvious linear critical path, it's still, it's just challenging. Each area is very challenging, and you're not really sure, like, am I supposed to go here yet? And for instance, okay, do I need to go collect that pentagram? It's going to be really hard. I have to fight these guys who are stuck in sort of a water pit in the ground, and I have to avoid the turret to the left here. I mean, there's a lot. Wow, what does that guy represent? I don't understand. Okay, we've got like a hidden door here, and I need to use my night vision spell. I don't know what the button is for triggering a spell. Let me go check the controls. Q. There we go. Okay. Wow, the night vision is not very good. Wow. There's a lot going on in here. Oh, also the fact that if you hold down, if you continue attacking with something, you get different animations. That's a cool thing. You don't just get the one, although there aren't any alternate fires that I recall. So where does this go? You know what? I'll bet this... Oh, you know what? This is going to be the path that I didn't take earlier. Okay, good. So now we've explored everything. But anyway, so as you can see, this game is using a lot of verticality and really pushing the 3D angle on the build engine's notional 3D qualities. Oh, I see. Okay, so those guys can't get out. This is actually a room we have to approach from the backside, so we don't need to. We don't actually need to fight our way through this room. But again, it's just, it's confusing and sort of tempting for you to go over there, get your ass kicked, lose a bunch of health, and the expectation is, well, you should have saved, right? Which, of course, back in the day, I would have. Again, I don't take this term seriously, but I would have save scummed like nobody's business to get through there without any damage. Oh, a devil! But nowadays, yeah, I feel better if I get through it without saving and reloading a dozen times. So even if I take a little bit of health, I prefer to do it that way. So some people, I'm sure, were like that at the time as well, but mentalities change. Oh, you know what? I think you have to take the 2 pentagrams to complete that pentagram symbol in the other room. Let's see if I'm right about that. Oh, no, it just ends the level. Huh. All right, so that was all map 1. And so a quality of games from this era, if you play Doom, Doom 2, Duke Nukem 3D, any of these really, exceptions, but I'll come back to that. Hang on. If you play sort of the foundational games like that, the first level is always very short. It's not exactly Mega Man X per Ego Raptor tutorial level energy, but they're usually pretty short, and you just get a little vertical slice of the game, right? So the first level of Doom shows you that the game has branching paths. It shows you that there are items you can collect, and that it's worth fighting your way through enemies rather than, or taking side paths rather than just taking the critical path in order to get those items. It informs you that there will be enemies behind you. It teaches you to check your corner very early in the game. I'm cribbing from Tim Rogers' actionbutton.net review of Doom, which I highly recommend you find the 3 hours to watch. It's priceless, as are all of his reviews. But these are thoughts I had myself as well. So the point is that it does very quickly teach you the basics of the game. Well, Witchhaven has, that first level was probably, what was I there for, 10 minutes more? Whereas the first level of Doom can typically be completed in under 2 minutes, unless you're like maybe an absolute novice, right, who's never played a first-person shooter before. I don't know why that guy keeps appearing. Witchhaven here has spent so much time on its first level. However, one perspective is this is a very complicated game. We've obviously seen a lot of mechanics already that the game needed to tell us about, so maybe it's valid. I need to alt-tab for a second here. Why do I have no status bar in OBS? Where's my status bar? Where's my snare? I got no snare in my headphones. Oh, that's weird. OBS didn't scale itself to my screen correctly. What the hell? Huh. That's weird. But anyway, a good reason for this level being so big, well, a bad reason would be that Capstone's devs weren't all that great. Capstone, or if they were just publishing it, whoever actually made it, I don't know. It's possible their devs just didn't understand that important fundamental concept in a video game. But it's also possible, and I think likely, that they were going for a more hardcore, story-driven, the immersive storytelling of Map 1. I think that might be what's going on here. This is supposed to be like an RPG, right? If you start Ultima Underworld is the first level, just a quick jaunt through a few enemies and then an exit, well, it's probably not a great example, but the point is that was a contemporary game that was going for a immersive RPG experience. So it's not surprising that it doesn't get you into it slowly. It just sort of drops you into the shit, as every Vietnam movie puts it. Let me check the interface settings here real quick. I wanted to see. Okay, I cannot adjust the HUD to be the same size as the original. Let me just check the no frame rate limit. Good. Oh yeah, I can have bilinear filtering. Hell yeah. Okay. Anyway, all right. So yeah, like I said, I mean, you've sort of seen what I wanted to show you outright. You know, I may play more Witchhaven, but you've sort of seen the point I was trying to make, that this game, well, you could tell, imagine, okay, you could have played this before Duke Nukem 3D came out, if I recall correctly. I believe that Duke Nukem came out in 1996, and that this game came out in 1995, so I believe that you could actually, oh, whoops, I think, no, I cast Scare. Oh, it did scare them, okay. I believe that you could have actually played this before playing Duke Nukem 3D, before even knowing that game existed. And I think the question is, what would your response to that have been? You know, would that have spoiled you on Duke Nukem 3D? Would it have felt like a completely different game? Is this a first-person shooter, or is this a dungeon crawler sort of thing, right? It gets into taxonomical questions that are interesting to answer, to put it simply. I need a strength potion. There we go. Need unguent. Oh, good, I got a new axe to replace the axe I broke fighting these guys. Outstanding. Perfect ball in space. Everything is as it should be. The wheel of Mother Nature spins goodly. So, you know, if you read Masters of Doom, or really study a lot of the... I'm going to kill the music. I think the music kind of sucks. If you read Masters of Doom, or, you know, really look into a lot of early video game development stuff in the FPS and other genres, but particularly in the case of Doom, you learn that there were attempts. An attempt was made to make Doom, for instance, far more sophisticated than it ended up being. Tom Hall, in particular, wanted the game to be very story-driven. He wanted the world, you know, the maps to be immersive and have interactive, you know, puzzles and storytelling and whatnot. And of course, none of that happened because Carmack and Romero hated all of it and wanted to make something that was as dumb and simple and straightforward as possible. And that is why Doom succeeded. And they were right, albeit for all the wrong reasons. The same thing happened with Duke Nukem 3D, where they attempted at first to make the game a lot more sophisticated, put a lot more complex systems and mechanics into it. They actually at one point basically rebooted development, or not rebooted, but there was a moment in the development of Duke Nukem 3D where they said, you know, this we need to tone this back, which happens with a lot of games. They cut out a lot of stuff. They killed a lot of systems, canceled a lot of projects, you know, to add new things, and just shipped with, you know, concentrated on their core competencies, right? And the game we got was probably better as a result than what they were likely to deliver had they stuck with it and stayed the course. But you can actually get a copy of the beta that they were working on, that they were thinking of releasing. It's called Lame Duke. This wasn't leaked. This was actually 3D Realms released it as like a on like the third, like the first anniversary of the game's release or something like that. They decided to release Lame Duke for anybody who wanted to see what it was almost going to be like. And you can definitely see it. There's some stuff that was going to happen there that they ended up pulling because it was just too complicated. But yeah, so take a look at the map for just the part of the level we've explored so far, right? So this is an interesting subject. Let's talk about map design. So map design is kind of a fascinating, right. It's very difficult to talk about this without being reductive. That's fine. Being reductive is fun and productive. Productive, not reductive. So when Wolfenstein 3D came out, when Wolfenstein 3D came out, id had developed it on a map system that was grid-based. So the rooms were all built out of standard tiles, and that meant that all your walls were orthogonal. There is, again, seriously, I can't recommend it enough. You should watch the Tim Rogers ActionButton.net review of Doom. But anybody who knows, anybody who is a nerd and knows the word orthogonal, at least in my age bracket, probably learned it from Doom. Because if you read books about Doom map development, which in fact I did own, or if you read a lot of like fileid.diz descriptions that came with maps, WADs you downloaded from ftp.cd-rom.com back in the day, you will find the mention of non-orthogonal walls, simply meaning that walls do not have to join at right angles. id understood what this meant immediately. Their map makers, Sandy Peterson, Romero, and I think American McGee, eventually, I want to say. They got it. They understood what that meant. It meant that rather than modeling spaces to look like places that humans actually live, you can make bizarre-ass labyrinths that don't follow any sort of expected convention as far as how spaces fit together. That guy's here again. And that meant, in other words, that a lot of Doom levels were complex, snaking, circuitous, almost overlapping labyrinths of curved paths. Well, so then Duke Nukem 3D came along, and the developers on that were completely distinct. None of them came from id or anything like that. So they were just figuring this out from scratch, having looked at Doom and thought about it a lot. They were doing their own thing and just sort of figuring it out. And their game that they made was the exact opposite. It was, it was based on a map design language that focused heavily on spaces that looked like humans actually occupied them, and eventually map design that focused on spaces that looked like aliens occupied them. And so the whole game is made out of boxes, rectangles, etc. You've got finials and door frames and whatnot. And what's fascinating about this is that the tooling for Doom, and I get mad about this constantly, the tooling for Doom, because it was what people like to call 2.5D, which I call bullshit as a term. I get it, but it's misleading. Doom was a 3D game with a two-dimensional map format. But it wasn't really two-dimensional because rooms had height. It's just that it didn't have height on a per-vertex basis, and it didn't provide good tooling for creating complex 3D spaces. And yes, there were details with the renderer that made that difficult. But the point is that it was a 3D game with a limited map format. So the point, however, is you drew spaces in the Doom engine and the build engine basically freeform. You couldn't curve walls, but you could click, 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 and make fairly smooth surface paths, much like you see here, right? These paths are all made out of little straight lines that somebody stitched together a bit at a time to make this circuitous path. Then, when you launch the game, the engine loads this set of vertices. It has a little bit of intelligence to figure out what parts are inside and what parts are outside. It puts all that together, and then it extrudes the map into a 3D space. Perhaps not literally, but of course that's what this is doing. This game here has created a true 3D space that has ceilings and floors that are made out of polygons and could be imported into a CAD program if you wanted, or a 3D printer program. You could cut the top off and print this level without adding anything. There's enough information in the map to recreate this three-dimensional space. So when we moved on to the CSG-based geometry of the Quake engine, we no longer drew spaces. We carved spaces. We used simple geometric shapes and then whittled them in order to create regions. So in Quake, you start out with a void, and then you make a box, and you put another box there and another box, and you tilt them and angle them so that they create a sealed convex hole inside of which the game occurs. the difficulty of doing that, like the tooling that was available for doing that, it didn't have to be as dumb and simple as it was, but it was that dumb and it was that simple. And so what happened is that the complexity of game maps plummeted. So Doom had these complicated, circuitous, labyrinthine maps, and then Duke Nukem 3D could have had those and had them in a few places, like the very clever but ultimately unnavigable chasm levels that I struggled with when I played Duke Nukem 3D a couple weeks ago. But by and large, the spaces were rectangles connected to other rectangles. But it had the capability. Quake came out, it didn't really have the capability. It was very difficult and time-consuming to make complicated, labyrinthine, circuitous, sinuous spaces like this. And so people just stopped doing that for the most part, and just never really started again for like a decade plus, until we started getting the modern, photorealistic games where people are making the maps in 3D Studio Max, importing them as meshes, and then just blocking out the collision geometry with, again, floating rectangles that you can't see. So it's always bummed me out that the complexity of video games, because the engines that became available for licensing, Quake, Unreal, pretty much just Quake and Unreal, really, were the only things people ever licensed in any quantity. I guess the Lithtech engine. These all just had you model things using boxes, right? There was nothing. They could have offered you the ability to draw a space with an arbitrary polygon, extrude it. It could create the CSG primitives for that space, and then you could put a roof on it and then detail that as you wished. But they didn't do that. All you got was, well, you can either draw these boxes, or you can model something in your favorite 3D editor and import it as a mesh, or figure out how to convert it into the CSG brush format. So it was, I always thought it was a downgrade. Boop. Map 3. So again, looking at these walls here, right, like, it's kind of a bummer. So these folks at Capstone, they put in a lot of effort to make this game. That much, I think, is inarguable. Whether they achieved what they intended, I don't know, but they put in a lot of effort. The texture situation really is sad, because it's obvious that an artist made probably quite beautiful high-resolution art for these walls, but then they crushed it with just brutal naivety. So there were climbing vines here, but they've been lost. They've turned into just a few scattered pixels. And truth be told, I don't think I can adjust it. Yeah, I can't adjust the gamma, but in the original game, I would bet that this was all so much darker that it was a lot harder to see any of this. But it could have been beautiful. This could have looked like Symphony of the Night if they had authored the textures in a sensible way. Oh wow, this looks exciting. I think it's gonna be a monster arena here. By the way, let me point out, I picked up that like adamantine ring in the first level. I still have it. It's floating up there in the upper left corner. I have no idea what it's for. If somebody wants to Google it, Witchhaven adamantine ring, figure out what it does, that'd be cool. Again, I would say not to continue dunking, but to continue dunking on the texture situation. Look at what's happened here. This is all wrong. These guys, these rings and chains for opening the doors, those should obviously be like silver. The hinges, why are they red? This is all wrong. Those should be probably like gray or silver. These should be silver or gold. The colors are in the palette. So how did this happen? And this is true with a lot of Capstone's 3D titles. You just have these muddy, washed out colors. Clearly, someone in their art department who was converting these textures didn't know how to use Photoshop's palette conversion features. And it's really a shame. Oh, here we go. Now see, okay, this is almost good. You see they got like the sprites for the climbing vines here, but look what's happened to them. It's obvious, like someone went at this with a hatchet. This is rough. And the colors are in the palette. I don't know how all this happened. Again, we've got another... See, this is what I expect from... Oh, okay. 50% chance to deflect a melee. So do I have to use that ring, or is it just a permanent status effect now that I carry through the whole game? Whoa! Why did that open? I didn't do anything. What? What? I don't like it. Anyway. God, I think if I grab that sword, we're gonna have a big fight here. By the way, I am carrying 10 health potions, and apparently that's the max. So I'm gonna drink a couple of those. Glug. Got a face there. Okay, I guess that's where I started. We got some more torn up mines here. Oh, that's right. I was going to say, stuff like these squished door textures. This is what I would expect from sort of a fan map, like a custom WAD where they didn't have the ability, some kid who didn't know how to make their own graphics. But obviously we know that's not the case. These are all custom. Unless they're not. It's actually possible now that I think of it. What if all the textures in this game were just grabbed from a free or like a $30 2D texture pack CD, right? It's actually not out of the question that they didn't make any of these textures. Again, why did this just open? And why did it just close? Wow, there's a lot of assholes in here. I need to, is this the best weapon I have? It appears that it is. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and have that strength potion. Oh, good. There's actually a spell there on the ground that might have helped me in here. Magic arrow scroll. Huh. No idea. Huh, so is that just proximity sensitive and I just missed it? Huh. I'm gonna switch to a different weapon so I don't completely beef this one. Magic arrow. Okay. Wait, did we get like a little distorted guitar note to emphasize that? My short sword is damaged. Need a new one. Oh, here we go. I was just about to say those barrels never have anything in them. What assholes, bastards, jerks, Yeah, a lot of early 3D games depended on like Duke Nukem 3D definitely had off the shelf textures, and it had off the shelf sound effects as well. Certainly, yeah. It's I think there was that whole debacle where I think it was a Konami game actually turned out had basically lifted some textures without paying for them. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. I'm standing on this arrow. I'm supposed to have a bow, and I don't know whatever happened to that. I picked up some arrow packs, and there's supposed to be a bow to go with them. Oh, there's a dark spot on the ground that I guess activates the door. But anyway, I suspect if I had that bow, I'd be able to build little ladders using it. Again, really complicated, complex, sophisticated map designs. Now, much of the reason that I'm showing you Witchhaven is because I want to show you Witchhaven 2. Because there was actually a sequel to this. And that's weird because again, it's always hard to say this sort of thing and know if you have any idea what you're talking about, but I don't think this game sold or that anyone bought it. Pretty sure this game didn't really sell and that nobody really bought it. It was not well regarded. It didn't go down in history, certainly. Never heard anybody talk about it. I almost thought it was some kind of beta that had just snuck onto a shareware disk, because I knew the score even back in like 1998. I knew that those shareware disks were scams, just composed out of stuff dumped on FTPs, right? So I thought maybe this was some kind of unfinished product that was never actually meant to be seen by the world. But not only was it because nobody ever talked about it, and I never heard about it in any context other than the fact that I had this demo, right? So I was kind of, God damn it, that guy. So I was kind of, I have to assume it did not sell very well. You know, it seems like an inescapable conclusion. Uh-oh. Something happened. What happened? Man, I'm starting to wonder, could the textures really be this messed up, or could there be something wrong with the source port? I'm not 100% sure at this point. It seems unlikely to me. I've never, you know... these engine upgrades are usually pretty dang good at getting the basics right. Pardon me. And see, most of them look fine. I feel like there was something wrong. I feel like if there was something wrong with the texture rendering in this version of the engine, that it would be wrong for everything or almost everything. So it really does look like a problem with the authoring. Anyway, I think it's fascinating. I just, you know, not to put too fine a point on it, but I think it's fascinating that Capstone, of all people, if you will, sorry Capstone, Capstone had the idea of making a sort of immersive dungeon crawler first-person RPG with weapon degradation. You know, it's such an interesting, like I said, an ambitious thing to have attempted at this time. In fact, okay, let's talk about that. In 1995, who would you have been looking at for inspiration to decide to make a game with weapon degradation, with weapon durability? I don't think it was a thing in D&D, although I could be wrong. Oh, wow, you can actually damage the dagger. I didn't know that. I thought the dagger was permanent. Well, I guess that's why you have fists, right? I'm actually, my weapons are getting pretty messed up. I could get reduced to fists here at any moment. Okay, so there's a big boy here. Let's go to the... Oh, wait a minute. He was wandering around the lava and got killed by it, I guess? I thought all the enemies were immune to fire. Okay. Find door trigger. Alright, no problem. So far, I would say that while there are elements of the map design, etc., that are not the best, overall, it's fairly easy to figure, you know, I'm not getting lost all the time. There's certainly lots of clever and interesting things to interact with in the levels. This seems good. Okay, I can fly, I can open a door. Oh, I have an open door spell, really? Huh. If I use that fly spell, I'm going to waste it because I don't know what the controls are to go up and down. I'm going to skip a few of these guys, just for brevity. I don't really think there's any punishment for not murdering everything. I think you can just, other than it being harder to move around, I think you can just do what I'm doing and it'll be fine. Hero time. I just got a helmet that said hero time. What does that mean? Taking a lot of damage. Is there someone behind me? No. Health up. Grab this potion. Okay, now we're back here. Hero time. What does that mean? Man, I think I've been everywhere other than through these walls with the... Oh, it's just a door. Dang it. Hero time. So wait a minute. I knew that was a secret door because it was a missing line on the map. That must not have been by design. Am I invincible? Oh, hero time is invincibility. That's what's up. That's what's up. Okay, I need night vision. Oh, okay. Night vision isn't just not just being able to see the walls, being able to see the enemies as well. Another open door spell. I think, you know, I feel pretty good about my conclusion that this is actually, honestly, not a very bad game. It's weird. It feels like it's got, like it had maybe some troubled development. But so far, I think each time that I play a game on stream here, that I remember being bad or couldn't make any progress in or whatever, my goal is to appreciate that game and see how it, could actually be good. So far, I didn't like Shadow Warrior, which I never really liked it. I wanted to give it another chance. It didn't deserve that other chance, and I believe I ended up saying this game is hot garbage. It doesn't deserve to exist. I think is what happened. And I think I was right about that. There we go. This game, too, seems to have deserved better than I granted it back in the day. That column is moving down. Is there going to be a boy inside of it? I feel like there will be. Oh. Nope. Arrows. So I'm full up on arrows, but I have no bow. And I don't know what's going on there. Wait, is that another adamantine ring? Huh. Oh, hey, there's the bow. Awesome. Get a key, get a bow, hit this lock. Oh, wow, that is a pretty rough bow. Okay, but I was right. I could actually build a ladder by shooting arrows into the wall and standing on them. How many of these do I have? 95 arrows. So we'll use some arrows for a bit. Oh, interesting. When you pick up a new potion, even if you had it before, in addition to increasing your quantity, it also automatically switches you over. Whoa, what? Oh, okay, there's hidden switches in the floor. All right. Oh, hey, you know what? I just noticed down there in the lower left corner, you'll see it says 3rd level. So apparently, my weapons or perhaps my skill with them can actually level up. Huh. Okay, now how do we open this door here? Whoops. Okay, that opens the inside one. I did something. The inside one is open. That opens that door. This one doesn't seem to do anything. Huh. How do I kind of hit everything. Maybe there's a switch in there I have to shoot. Well, that's a bummer. I would love to go in there and collect some items and use them. But I guess I'm just not allowed to. The bow is absolutely hit scan. Yeah, So the question of, is this Capstone's best FPS? I think that is an interesting one because they also made Corridor 7. And I would say that Corridor 7, given what it was, contextually, etc., Corridor 7 was quite good and quite well made for the time. It got a lot more out of the Wolf. I would say it got a lot more out of the Wolfenstein 3D engine than anybody else got out of it, which is, I think, not saying much, but is still, you got to give them credit. But if we are talking about, if you will, objective quality as a video game, yeah, okay. I think this is the one. If Capstone made a game that I was likely to outright enjoy, then this would be it. I did not realize that this is a projectile weapon. This axe is not actually a melee weapon. Let's see that again. Yeah, wow. Oh, I almost hit that guy. That would have been really funny. So, I might be able to jump this, but I'm really supposed to fly. Wait, I already have that sword? Dang it, okay. Wow, the flying mechanic is really strange. I guess I do have that sword. Now remember that all of this, everything I'm doing was harder in the original game because you couldn't look up and down as smoothly as I am. Basically, the original game, you were limited to using page up and page down generally to shift the screen up and down a few degrees. Basically, you could do this, and that was about it. So this was much harder, much slower, much more tedious than its original incarnation, and we do have to take that into account. It may be the case that Witchhaven is a game that would have been good 5 years later. Huh. Shield is a death trap. Is it possible that oh, you know what? I might have Telegram open now that you mention it because I opened it earlier and then I guess I didn't completely close it. There we go. Sorry about that, folks. I don't think this would have come with a fat manual. I think it would have come with sort of a pamphlet, but it probably did include a manual. Although, as someone established earlier, you couldn't necessarily trust the manual. They could have errors in them, and this one did. Yeah, this is a thing with a lot of games in this era. I think the manual was just written by Steve, one of the programmers, and if they made a boo-boo, if something changed during development after they got the things printed, whatever, it wouldn't necessarily make it into the finished product. So, a game... Oh, so got spied. Spied. Hello. Where's my bow? There we go. Okay. Huh. Why is my health flashing? Wasn't doing that earlier. Right, so we got some interesting items here. There's something back there I can pick up. Is it a weapon? No, it's some sort of ornate horn. Shadow amulet. Huh. God, this game is complex. There's just so much going on. The levels are massive. See, I think... Okay. When Quake came out, it really underutilized its own engine. Like, Quake was... I asserted then when it was new, and I assert now, and I have always asserted in between, damn it, that Quake is not a game, nor was Quake 2, nor was Quake 3. These were actually just tech demos. John Carmack sure liked programming, and he would write an engine for its own sake and then put it out, and the thing that it shipped with was just like essentially a one of those levels in the game that just has everything that the demo is capable, or everything the engine is capable of, to show you what it's capable of. That's Quake 2, and Quake 3, and arguably Quake 4. Not really very good, if you ask me. Mostly there just to show off. So that's my opinion. Oof, doofa. Hey, I actually need to... Oops, I need to go somewhere safer to pause the game. I need to step away for just a couple minutes. Save here. I need to step away for just a couple minutes, and I will be right back. Hey, folks. Whew. Yeah, I was just sitting here, and all of a sudden, I just had a big burst of nausea for some reason. And I think it's just because I had my belt too tight. Also, this is disgusting. You can totally see it. These headphones have been just sort of sitting on a shelf for years at this point, and the ear cups are disintegrating. So, God, this black bits all over my shirt. Ugh. Anyway. Sorry, I'm just reading across the chat here. Anyway, so what I was going to say is that Quake 2, Quake 3, Quake 4 for the most part, these were games that existed in order to demonstrate an engine. And then other companies picked them up and did something with them. The best example of this is that Quake 1 was okay as a single-player game, mostly became popular as a multiplayer game. But Half-Life, which was largely based on the Quake engine, Half-Life, which was largely based on the Quake engine, really took that engine and turned it into its own thing, right? That's my opinion, but I think that's the case. It was so much more sophisticated and did so much more with most of the same technology. Yes, Half-Life had lots of extra stuff added to it by Valve, original code that was integrated into the engine. But still, it pushed it way further, you know. I mean, look, it goes without saying, right? Because Half-Life is essentially the birth of the modern video game. Some people will dispute that, but I think it's indisputable. Half-Life is where it all begins, because it predates Halo by 4 years, you know, and what Marathon was trying to do before it, in my opinion, it didn't pull off anywhere near as well, even given the restrictions of the time. So Half-Life took an engine that had been used for a game that was really nothing to write home about. You shoot the cyber demon until he dies, as it were, and turned it into something so unique that no one even talks about the fact that it's based on Quake. You have to dig to find out that the Half-Life engine is largely based on Quake. Witchhaven really gives the build engine something to chew on, and it did it before Duke Nukem 3D came out. Now, Duke Nukem 3D certainly counts as more of a game than a tech demo, but it still just doesn't have the each level in Duke Nukem 3D could be perceived as a different demo room. Like if you played the original Serious Sam, and it actually had you could click like tech demo. There was a button for that on the menu, and it would just take you to a series of rooms, and each one demonstrated a different thing that the engine could do. If you look at Duke Nukem 3D's structure, it actually kind of feels like that, even though I don't think that was intended. 3D Realms was not trying to impress people, they were trying to make a game. But what they ended up making was not very adventurous, if you ask me. Yes, there were certainly they did some stuff with the engine that was very impressive, but they could have gone much harder, and the other games that used the build engine did. This one is full contact, and Shadow Warrior was full contact. And likewise for the other build engine based games. Blood is, I think, the Half-Life of the build engine. It took the capabilities that Ken Silverman had created, and rather than using them in a safe and good, decent, acceptable way, it used them in a risky, dangerous, radical way. And the game doesn't feel like it's on the build engine. It feels more impressive than... it's hard to look at Blood and go, oh yeah, this is Duke Nukem 3D just with a mod. You know, it doesn't really feel that way. Shadow Warrior, I feel, feels a little bit more like Duke Nukem 3D with a mod. So, Shadow Warrior, a WOD for Duke Nukem 3D. That's interesting. Halo ripped off Unreal. That's an interesting take. I'm not sure what to think of that. I'm not sure what elements you'd be talking about, given that much of the stuff that made... Yeah, I'm not sure where that comes from. Be interested in hearing more about that, I guess. Anyway, so there's a question of how much more of this I'm going to play. I don't really know. Whoa. Why am I taking damage? Did I just take damage? There's a question of how much more of this I'm going to play. We're at least an hour into it. Oh, there we go. There we go, map 5. Ooh, this looks interesting. Sure. Let's just go for it. Oh, man, this thing's going to vanish out from underneath me, right? No. Whoa. Whole damn wall go down. I do want to show you Witchhaven 2, because I think it's a fascinating sort of... It caps this by showing you, I feel, a lot of the chaos that was going on at Capstone, like the lack of direction, and also sort of, I think, represents the fact that this game, for whatever, if it's good, it was almost by mistake, because you can see in Witchhaven 2 that had they not thought about it as hard as they clearly did, they would not have produced something playable. I mean, I still feel that this game is problematic from a design perspective because, yeah, I think this has already made my point, actually. Look at all this. It's twisty passages all alike, right? Like, we're in our 5th level, and since the 2nd level, have you heard me really exclaim very much, wow, that's a cool idea, right? A lot of this is just kind of the next thing. There's apparently an experience system, but I appear to still be at level 3. I've been at level 3 for like 4 maps, I think. There's certainly a lot of stuff being done here, but it's not a lot of varied stuff, or it's so varied that you're sort of numb to it. So I think we're not getting that much out of this, even though it is, in several senses, well executed. Well, I think you can see already that I'm lost all of a sudden. This level is not super compelling. So, I'm going to exit this game, and I want to show you Witchhaven 2. Halo is, on the path to the modern AAA first-person shooter, the games that really paved the way there, Half-Life is definitely one of them, and Halo is one of them. And much of the reason I'm saying that is because the modern video game period is based on a heavily streamlined narrative system, wherein simply playing the game exposes you to a story, like waste radiation from a reactor. You cannot play Half-Life or Halo without experiencing the story. It can't be done. You can't skip the story because the story is implemented not in the form of cutscenes, although that might not be true for Halo. I can't quite remember. For Half-Life, certainly, it's diegetic narrative in which the narrative is integrated into the world that you are in rather than the typical preceding approach of prior to the Half-Life model. Story in a game, Marathon, for instance, no story really occurred while you were out and about wandering around shooting things, etc. Story happened in computer terminals. So in other words, to be utterly rude and disrespectful here in a way that they don't deserve, Marathon is a Doom clone that came with a book. You just periodically get to read another page of it. Mean, reductive, also kind of true. There's not much environmental storytelling, in my opinion, and that would continue to be the case with a lot of games, particularly on the PC, but a lot of console games as well sort of suffered from it. And then Half-Life had this idea that every ounce of story would happen while you were walking around being the actual character. You are Gordon Freeman at all times. The camera never leaves Gordon Freeman's head. It doesn't go anywhere else. When the Zen catastrophe, when the resonance cascade is occurring, you pop through various places from Gordon's perspective. You don't get to see what's happening from the outside. You don't get to see it from the surface. You don't see little vignettes of monsters appearing all over the Black Mesa facility. You are Gordon, and you know what he knows and nothing more. To learn more, you need to hear announcements. You need to hear radio transmissions. You need to hear other people talking. And the only way to experience that is to find them and press E. Or otherwise hit the right trigger so they come up to you and start talking. Half-Life was groundbreaking in implementing that. Halo, I want to say, had cutscenes, but they were still integrated better into the world. It didn't cut away to a pre-rendered 3D scene. And you got the experience of, yeah, there we go. The radio situation and the Cortana situation. As you're playing the game, you are constantly receiving a continuous IV drip of the game's narrative. The story is being dispensed, drip, 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 flood, drip, 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 flood, but literally. And that was genre defining. Halo introduced this idea, or crystallized this idea, of a game that is inseparable from its narrative, and where that narrative can be delivered even while you're shooting dudes, which even Half-Life didn't really do. Particularly in the case of FPSs, but honestly, in relation to most modern games, we really have a lot to owe to Half-Life and Halo, accepting the fact that it was going to happen anyway. It was the natural next step in video games. We had done so much, pardon me, we had done so much so far with story elements. We tried everything from the gold box D&D games in the mid to late 80s for the PC, where everything was delivered as a stream of text, and the story was interleaved with that text. And most things that occurred in the context of a diegetic story action. And then from there, we moved on, if you will, to games that had no story, really, in the game itself. We had Doom and stuff like that. But in between and around those, we had games that had what Tim Rogers would call game flavors of shooting things, moving around, solving the maze, etc. as one game flavor. And then the other was watching a movie. And that movie initially may have been static frames of static art, like in, I think the intro to Yoshi's Island, I think, did this, where you just had a few frames showing you, pictures from the Mushroom Kingdom. And then later we started doing limited animation, and then we did FMV. And the experience of shifting from playing the game to watching an FMV cutscene, you were essentially, again, it was like a game that came with a videotape. You play the game for a bit, then you press play on the VCR, and you watch 40 seconds to 5 minutes of story that seems utterly unrelated to the game you were just playing, unless you have a really good imagination to glue those two together. And then you get back into the game, and it's back to what it was. What's interesting about this, I think, is that, pardon me, what's interesting to me about this, to me, I think, is that there were games that preceded Halo and Half-Life. For instance, the game Defiance for DOS 1995, 96, I believe. Fascinating. It was a vehicle-based 3D shooter where you... I played it on stream like a couple years ago. I got to play it again. It was not a perfect game, but pretty cool. In Defiance, you play a sort of hovering tank that can move like a first-person shooter. You can slide left and right, but you definitely have more tankish controls. You've got a lot of inertia. And your weapons are like a pair of cannons, missiles, that sort of thing. And throughout the game, you are receiving your story as a continuous IV drip via radio messages. Very few people have ever spoken about this game. Let me rephrase that. I have never heard anybody mention this game except me. Again, I had a shareware demo of it. It blew my mind. It turned me into a husk. I died, and then I was reborn as a person who had seen what this was. I was like 9 or 10, and it was breathtaking, and nobody else had ever talked about it then or later. I used to think I had imagined it because it was so far ahead of its time. It could have been a little later. It could have been like 97, but it was still really early. And unfortunately, it sort of petered out in terms of game design. But you know what? I am going to play that game on stream. I might even do it today. Who knows? We're going to check out 2 more games. They're thematically related to Witchhaven. There's Witchhaven 2, and then there's sort of a modern, not a reboot. I don't even know if they know about Witchhaven. I mean, this idea doesn't belong to Capstone or anything, but Arthurian Legends. I only just learned this game existed 2 days ago. I looked it up. It doesn't look like the developers are racist, so unlike other build engine based games you can get on Steam. So I went ahead and got it, and I'm interested to try that out because it's another medieval, I don't know if it's sword and sorcery or just sword, but another build engine based game where you hit things with swords and axes. So I want to do those, but if we have time, maybe I'll see if I can rock Defiance today. Calvin, yes, I think that's a very good point. A point I wanted to make, that Tom Hall was trying to make Half-Life in 1993. He was trying to make Halo in 1993. And what's interesting is that both, Carmack and Romero and a few other people at the company absolutely just completely stomped on his dreams. And I would love to be able to say that that was a really stupid idea. And maybe it was. Maybe Doom could have been even more successful than it was. I think the potential was there. The other possibility, of course, is that trying to follow Tom Hall's Bible and actually make the game that he intended would have tanked it. They would have accidentally made Ultima Underworld. Nobody would have bought it, and all the magazines would have panned it, and id would have been forgotten. But I think it's just as possible that instead of making $10 billion off of Doom, they could have made $100 billion off of Doom and created an enduring franchise that would have been regarded as, well, what Halo was, but 7 years earlier. It was a bunch of bros, and I think that they did stupid bro stuff and succeeded at what they were doing only because John Carmack was able to make the PC do something it should not have been able to do. And that was so compelling that it somehow compelled the other people at id to make something that was actually fun to do in it. Because I think the reaction based on descriptions from the book Masters of Doom, among other things, to everything that was going on with the early stages of the engine was that everyone shit their pants, then proceeded to repeatedly shit them daily every time they looked at it, and desperately wanted it to be seen and loved and appreciated. And wouldn't you have felt the same? Seeing Doom doing what it could do in 1993 had to have been breathtaking, and you would have been seized by a need to give it a life and to have it be appreciated. Defiance would have been the 1997 one. Volty Swirl, I agree. I think that Halo was not something where Bungie sat down and invented the future by beginning with a blank sheet of paper and starting to type. I think that they took a lot of ideas that already existed, including their own. They had tried to make Halo in the mid-90s. They wanted Marathon to be that, and of course some people appreciated it, and most people thought it was just a really awkward shooter where you died way too easily and had to do too much reading. The funny thing is that with being that it was sold on CD, as far as I know, they could have done the continuous radio dialogue thing. They could have done cutscenes. They could have done a lot more to make it as engaging as Halo would be later on. I don't really see, what they were missing there. Maybe they just hadn't thought of it. All right. Give me a sec. Let me go look up this Defiance game so I can see if I can line this up here. Yes. It was developed by Logicware and published by Visceral Productions. Don't have any idea. Those are red links on Wikipedia. I have absolutely no idea who developed this game, or where they went, what happened to them. I need to trace them down on Moby Games because I've always been fascinated with it. It was so far ahead of its time. But a 1998 review from GameSpot stated, although this is not a terrible game, there's nothing here that would merit someone to really consider buying it when there are so many other 3D games of a higher caliber. And I realized that in 1998, things were getting a little more interesting in the 3D game. Oh yes, Deus Ex is definitely part of the it was important. Bacon Mage, that is an interesting take. Yeah, could they have kept up with continuous audio like that? I don't know the answer to that. That's a good question. Anyway, so yeah, in 98, maybe there were other games. I think, was Deus Ex out yet? I don't remember. There were other games that were perhaps more compelling than Defiance, but I'm kind of surprised that they had no recognition, no reverence for what was going on vis-a-vis the radio, the whole radio thing at all. Kind of remarkable this game was so utterly forgotten. Anyway, I don't know if I'll actually be able to run it on this machine now that I think about it. I probably need at least Windows XP. I possibly might need to drag in my P3 to make that run. So for the time being, let's play Witchhaven 2, Blood Vengeance. And by play, I mean, let's take a look at it, because I'm not going to put any serious time into this for reasons that I think are going to become very quickly obvious. Let me find, where is my resolution setting here? 80. Okay. Play. Oh, was Deus Ex that late? Wow. All right, so let me back to the correct. There we go. I gotta buy another stream deck. I gave Dario my stream deck, and I wanted to get the bigger one anyway. But I want to start doing now that I've got a much better streaming setup. I would absolutely love to start doing multi-camera shenanigans where I actually run this like a proper show. Y'all paying me enough. I would love if it's interesting you raised the Daikatana question, because Daikatana sucks, but I actually played it sort of seriously for the first time. Let me explain. I never played it back in the day. Maybe I had a demo for a little bit, but I heard very quickly that Daikatana was a joke. I was a very impressionable little kid, and I just went, it's a joke. All right, well, I'm not going to bother with it because it's bad, right? Because bad was a concept that I bought into so firmly back then. I just took it as being not worth my time and utterly ignored it. But I think I did at some point get the demo. I found it baffling. I just had like distant memories of like a chunk of this game. It may not even have been the first stage. Maybe the demo started in the middle or something. But I remember just the frogs were infuriating, just like everyone else thought. And yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible then. And then a few years later, that's not true, over a decade later, I picked it up again, tried to play it again. I had not yet sort of had my epiphanies vis-a-vis the fact that other people's opinions of whether games are bad don't need to apply to me, and also the fact that the game looks a little crunchy on first inspection doesn't mean that it is quote-unquote bad, or that every part of it is bad. There might still be something there worth investigating. For instance, Witchhaven 1. Anyway, recently I found out that there's a source port of Daikatana. There hadn't been one for a very, very, very long time, and then something weird happened. I don't fully understand what it was. I think maybe some people started hacking the Daikatana. No, I'm sorry. There's a source port, but the source isn't released. Somebody got the source code, I think via illicit means, and I think that like John Romero found out about this and told them, you know what, go for it, but don't release the actual code. Might have been what happened. It was a weird situation. It's described strangely on the like wiki pages about it. But anyway, there is now a modern version of Daikatana that will run on your Windows 11 PC with modern graphics capability and borderless window and so on. So I picked it up and I played it last week, and it's terrible. It's just god awful. It's just a terrible, awful, no good, very bad game. There's nothing to apologize for in dunking on it. It sucks, man. It's just bad. But my recollection is that the narrative was very poor. It's delivered through Quake-style cutscenes in between levels. You start out, you get to watch like a chunky guys without mouths that move, doing some Orientalism, of course. Sorry, that's to be clear, that word is a term referring to the American tendency to just collapse all of the Far East into one sort of unified culture and then treat it as highly exotic, and to focus heavily on it's just very, like, you could tell that John Romero owned a katana at the time, and thought that it could cut through steel, and you get a cutscene that's very heavily steeped in that sort of bullshit, and then you play a level that's inscrutable and takes eons, and you finish it and you get another inscrutable cutscene. It sucked, man. God, it sucks. I don't know, Cameron. I don't know. I don't think there was any saving Daikatana, even brand new. That game was just infuriating. It's tedious. It's got unflagged, like, door switches and stuff like that. Finding the critical path is tough. Knowing what's a secret and what's, what you need to crawl into is tough. It has a very messy everything. There's nothing good about Daikatana. Now, Sin is a utterly forgivable game. It's a dumb first-person shooter. It's fun. It's fun. It's got different flavors and textures. It's obviously informed by the movie Blade, but they didn't want to say that or license it. I loved Sin, and I still love Sin. I'm gonna play Sin on stream at some point. But yeah, Daikatana, there's no but. It just sucks. It's terrible. Bad game. Got everything it deserved. All the shit that was talked about it should have been talked about it. Oh, I guess the music is kind of loud. Somebody told me that earlier. This music doesn't sound any louder than the previous game, but yeah. Anyway, ooh. Oh man, print artist. I don't think print artist is like rare or anything. I think I can get it fairly easily. I don't really have room for big box software right now, although I would like to change that at some point. However, if you want to rip an ISO of it and send it to me, I can check it out. Otherwise, if you just want to hang on to it, I will let you know when I have room for that sort of thing. Anyway, all right. So, Witchhaven 2. Actually, oh, that's interesting. It says Witchhaven 2 in the lower right corner, but not at the top. Huh, strange. You can tell this is based on much of the same, like, they must have started making this right after they finished the previous one, is my guess. Or, hell, maybe during it. Who knows? You can tell it's just a delta off the old one. However, so we start out in the antechamber of Asmodeus or whatever, and it's just chaos. Everything's just chaos. So we're immediately being attacked by two devils, which are like level 5 enemies. We're surrounded by lava. We actually have a fire resist potion, because otherwise it would be impossible to proceed. Okay, there's this massive fortress here. Okay, let's get over here, and lava. Okay, we're in. It's so dark, we can't see anything. Enemies. Can't open that one. Archers. We go through here. No. Nothing will open. I think I started out with like 6 different weapons or something. No, got the same as the first game. Let's see, let's go up here. Need the brass key. So, you'll recall my talking in the previous game about how... Oh, right, I think there's some treasure here. I got some silver. You'll recall my talking in the previous game about how the, Witchhaven wasn't really following the rule of... Oh my god, did you hear that? Oh! Witchhaven wasn't really following the rule of, bring the player in slowly, let them get used to how this game works, etc., right? Yeah, so this one, there does not appear to be like a good narrative excuse for it. It's just going way too hard, way too fast. Apparently, every time you pick up one of those axes, your character goes, ugh, which is gross. Yeah, look at the complexity of this level. This is the first level of this game. All right? Now, I took the approach of going into the castle, but we didn't actually have to do that. And I'm not even sure we were supposed to do that. We could actually go out, grab a fire potion, one of those. All right. Notice, by the way, you have to jump off the end of the bridge or you'll fall into the lava. Let's just see that. Yep, there we go. Okay, we're in the lava now. Let's see. I think where is it? Okay, we have an open door scroll. I have no idea what that does. Okay, let's climb up there. I swear I found another entrance out here. Oh, well, there's this. Okay, and now we're over. Look at this area. Look at the size and complexity of this area we're in. So there's like this massive outdoor. We're being attacked from all these like flying things. We can't see shit. I don't even think I have a night eyes spell. There's like a cool graveyard here. I can't see any of it. We're being attacked by a bunch of flying shit we can't hit. Oh, there's like a cathedral here. Can't see any of it. Game's too dark. Who's this jerk? Is this a boss? Okay, I'm gonna look at the night eyes. Okay, let's use that. Let's see, does that help any? There we go. There's so many enemies. The place is just lousy with them. No idea what I'm supposed to be doing, by the way. Like, there's no obvious critical path. You know, is this the right place? Should I be back in the castle? Is this a bonus area? What's going on back here? There's this little pillar here. You can get a sapphire ring. There's like a dead thing back there. Is this environmental storytelling? Okay, my night eyes already ran out, so I'm back to not being able to see what the hell's going on. Anyway, there's another. Oh, whoops. Oh, shit. And that's Witchhaven 2. Yeah. So. So that was Witchhaven 2. So if you see what I'm driving at here, it just goes completely nuts. Just utterly and unnecessarily nuts right away. Just instantaneously. Just goes all the way to 100%, 500%, 900%. Completely uncalled for. I don't think it really gets you anything. Bizarrely overblown. The music is, I mean, just imagine if you didn't buy and play Witchhaven 1, right? You get into this, you have no idea the weapons have durability. You don't know that there's spells versus potions. You don't know that you're supposed to go through the fire. I would say if you hadn't played the first game, playing this one is impossible, right? So now, there are some various opinions about about what you should do with a sequel, whether you should expect the player or viewer to have seen or played the original content, or whether it's okay to just go nuts like this, or whether you should lead the player into it as if they had never played the original, right? A couple different schools of thought there. Really depends on your artistic intent. This one feels like... That's the other thing, right? Even if, yes, I have played the original. You can see I played quite a few hours of it. And it's just bafflingly hard to start Witchhaven 2 right off the bat. You're just getting your ass kicked. And, right, yeah, it appears to be sort of a new game plus, hard mode option. And again, that was on easy, right? Can you imagine playing that on normal, let alone hard? Or super hard, impossible, nightmare, whatever they call the top level. Yeah, it's bad, man. It's bad. Strange, right? The first game was, you could see yourself finishing that, right? Especially in 1995. Duke Nukem 3D hadn't even come out yet. Ultima Underworld sucked if it was even out yet. I can't remember if it was or not. No, it was, right? Because I think that came out before Doom or like just after it. There weren't a lot of options for fantasy. Like I was saying, there weren't a lot of options for action fantasy games. So I remember being very frustrated about that back in the day, and I don't think this would have you know, I don't think I would have missed this if I realized quite what it was and where it was going. But it was just dark and hard to play and whatnot, so I missed it. But it's still justifiable, right? You can see what they were trying to do, and you can see that they probably more or less achieved it. Dealt a few unavoidable problems with the build engine. Witchhaven wanted to be on the Quake engine. Let's be real. Essentially, what I just played there was Witchhaven on the Quake engine, right? The source port updates to the build engine pretty much give it Quake grade capabilities, minus the maps themselves. They're obviously still limited to the original game design and functionality, but being able to look up and down and move as smoothly as you do in Quake, and the improved renderer having better color depth and adjusting the gamma a little more appropriately to the human eye, makes it far more playable, I think, than it would have been originally. I was doing a lot of circle strafing, which was very difficult back in those days. So, or at least not very well known, I should say. I had never heard of a circle strafe when I first played Witchhaven. So, for an experienced gamer, I think that game was probably just, arguably a decent game. Witchhaven 2 is a disaster, just a complete disaster, and it really does look like, I'm guessing that the last levels, if the first levels of Witchhaven 1 were as complex as the ones we saw, the last levels must have been they must have been just mind-boggling. Incredibly complicated, right? They must have been, and very difficult. There must have been huge enemies looming everywhere. So, can I get that out of frame? That would be cool. I didn't realize I could actually do that. Oh, hey, look at that. There we go. Anyway, I think that Witchhaven 2 is essentially, if Witchhaven 1 had 25 levels, I think this one's level 26. But it's kind of wild to think that maybe there's even more levels in it, right? Like, if Witchhaven 2 was just this first map, I could maybe get it. But if there's 20 or 40 levels just like that, man, can you imagine getting through it all? It's wild to me to think that this actually got packaged in a box and sold in a store, that particular game. The first one is wild enough, but the second one, if it ever made it into an actual cardboard box, that is remarkable to imagine paying money for. Yeah, I guess that's possible, right? Maybe it was more or less an expansion pack. Yeah, I think that Ultima Underworld led into System Shock, I want to say. All right, so with that unfortunate business behind us, let's take a look at this. I've never played this game. I'm going to launch Arthurian Legends here. I am actually going to show you. So I'm just going to be frank with you. A cool thing about my setup here is I was streaming in the past from my actual personal computer because I didn't have anything else that could run games or a place to put it, and so I couldn't really actually share my desktop for obvious reasons. I do my work on there, I do my Telegram, private chats, etc. But this machine is relatively safe, so I can just go ahead and let me go to. How am I going to do this? I did not actually have I didn't have a screen share set up. But now I can add that for the first time. There we go. Let's get display 2 going here. There we go, and shrink that bad boy down. Oh, that's right. It's a 1920 by 1200 display, so it doesn't quite fit the box. Anyway, what I wanted to show you is pardon me. Oh, sorry, Brad. That would be Tech War. That was Capstone as well. And yeah, it was Shatner, but it was its own thing. You know what? I'll very briefly jump into Tech War for a moment before we start Arthurian Legends here. But what I wanted to show you is that so this Arthurian Legends is ostensibly a build engine based game. Let me actually. Oh right, it just goes to a Steam folder. Let me go to my. Game Steam apps. Let's go take a look at the. Again, I just got this. In fact, this isn't even the complete game. This is the demo. Where on earth is my Steam folder? I have no idea. I thought it was on the D drive. Maybe the game installed on here? Oh, it did. Okay, there we go. But yeah, I've never played this, so I don't know if this is really build engine based or what. Kind of doesn't look like it. I don't know. So we've got a sound font file, so that would be for MIDI. Okay. But then it looks like everything is inside of this 1RC file. I've never heard of anything like that. So must be some either proprietary mod to the game, or this doesn't look like a source game, or it's not source, but build game folder. So I don't know. Yeah, Tech War is fascinating. I don't know how good the books are. I think they were all ghostwritten. I think Shatner just had the idea, and then he had somebody else write it. They actually had a TV show for a little bit. I've been kind of curious about... At some point, I intend to go through and consume the entire Tech War experience and see what that's all about. But I'm guessing it's really hackneyed. I'm not a big fan of William Shatner, so I don't have a problem with saying that I think he's not very good at most of the things he's ever done. Anyway, what I want to point out, though, is that assuming this really is a build engine-based game, I think it's really funny that it actually has its own... when you launch it, it actually opens up this little configurator. I don't recognize... I don't recognize this interface at all, so this must have been custom coded. Oh my gosh! Oh yeah, you know what? Look at the Visual Basic icon in the upper left here. I think this might be written in like VB6, if they actually have that icon. Calvin, are you still here? Are you seeing this? This is breathtaking. A VB6 window. I'm pretty sure. It has that energy. Like it's certainly like the massive scrolling list of... Oh, man. I want to be clear. I have nothing against a developer doing what they have to do to get something done. This was made by one guy. I think it's Kevin or Keith Scalero, something like that. I could tell just from the screenshots and videos I've seen that this is a labor of love. There's an enormous amount of effort put into this thing. And it's an indie effort that I think he started in like 2016. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. That is an MFC icon, but you could pretty much bet this is written in Visual Basic. But I don't mean to dunk on anyone's, for doing what they have to do to get a game done and out. There's nothing wrong with using VB for this, but it is just it's just reminiscent of it's just strange to see something this obviously having been slapped together just to solve a problem actually ending up in a shipped finished product. So is that literally a VB icon? I thought that was an MFC icon. Anyway, so I'm going to launch this. Let's see what we get here. Again, I've never launched this game before, so. Whoa. This is running incredibly slowly. I'm getting like 3 FPS here. Oh, there we go. That's better. All right, let me I need to make some adjustments here because it's actually off my screen. Okay, I need to switch to window capture here. Okay. Ooh, wow. Huh. I didn't expect this I didn't expect this much flavor in the UI. All right. So what do we have here? I don't want to skip the intro cinematic by Jove. I definitely want to see that. I think the sound volume is probably going to be a little high once we get in game, but I do want us to be able to hear the music for the intro here. Custom menu background. Oh. Huh. Weird. So there's a compass option. Alright. Huh. Well, I guess I'll come in here later after investigate that. Okay, can we do... So there's 3 chapters. Hero... Boop, boop, boop. Oh man, love the people are calling them boomer shooters now. I guess I don't know when that term cropped up. I think I first heard it this year, but I do definitely enjoy the boomer shooter inspired difficulty levels. Really getting the feeling right. So let's see. It looks like we have a little level progression chart here. I wonder if you could skip and do specific levels. But there's also other game modes here. We have the story mode, and there's an arena and a horde. Interesting. All right. Gosh, I wonder if this really is build-based. It doesn't look like it. Show gore giblets. Hilarious. Normal. Oh, by the way, I wanted to mention, I'm apparently streaming at 720p because I forgot to change my settings from yesterday. I imagine it doesn't really hurt anybody's feelings, but I'm probably going to switch it back to 1080 for future streams. I just completely forgot that I had done that. So far, this looks fantastic. Okay, so I wasn't sure what tone this game was going to have, but it does look like they are going for a sort of a Duke Nukem edge, because we do have the well-known Middle English word fucketh. Give me just a second before I start doing this here. I need Dora to come in and give me a quick hand with something. Yeah, I was just when I was setting this up. So I know not everybody here is necessarily a patron. For those who are and are of the tier to see my behind-the-scenes videos, I have been installing lighting in the new studio space, and it's all overhead. And so when I was first setting this up, I was almost going to go and start streaming. And I'm like, you know what? I think I need a fill light. And if you were paying attention a minute ago, pardon me, if you were paying attention a minute ago, you may have noticed that with that fill light off, I look like a zombie who has died and been buried. So I was just verifying, because it's not pleasant staring into this huge light bulb, but it is necessary. Probably... Wait. It's... Yeah, I know, it's fine. Calvin, I'm not... I can't parse that sentence. It's work? What? You're not saying the entire game is... You're not saying the entire game is written in VB, are you? I mean, sure. Alright, let's check this game out. Let's actually play this game. Cool. Oh, okay, so you right-click... You left-click for a left jab, and you right-click for... Or the other way around. Anyway, what do we have here? Alright, we have an ale. Gold coin. Frame rate here doesn't seem like what it could be. Oh, got some armor. Alright. God, this has like some strong Shadow Warrior energy. Wow, the FOV is really tight, and I think I'm going to have to widen it up. There's an option for that, so... That might be a little too much, but we'll see. Oh, 69 health, nice. Alright, got an axe. Melee attacks can be paired with melee weapons if attacking at the same moment. Okay, so weapons can clash. Cool. Potion of healing. 10 gold coins. Can I not get that, Oh, this whole bookshelf is 3D. Fully modeled. Nice. Getting some, a little bit of Z fighting going on there. Some issues with the Z buffer. Alright, can we save? F5, F6, no and no. Can we save here? Wait a minute. Games are automatically saved at the beginning of every level. Okay, cool. Can we save whenever we want? Yes, we can. Good. I think you do get both fists at the same time. We'll find out here, though. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so I think I crashed it. Oh, wait. No, there we go. I was... Huh. Somehow the window lost focus. Okay, so if I'm understanding this correctly... Okay, you can sort of punch with both fists at once. Not quite. But anyway... It seems like when I press the tilde button, my left hand goes down and comes back. So I think I can have different weapons over there once I have different weapons. Interested to see how that plays out. There we go. Got some antidote. You know, you can get antidote, but I've never seen any just dope. So I don't know what that stuff is for. Bear trap. Okay. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, I have a shield on my left hand now. And when I press tilde, it switches between the shield and the hand. Okay, that makes sense. You can also see that in the lower left corner, just left of the armor, there's a durability indicator, it looks like. So, pardon me. Right, yeah, random. Yeah, exactly. It was like rotating in and out of the bookshelf, but like, that should have been either moved forward or it should have been coded so that it tends to precede the Z order of things nearby it. Alright, okay. Little tutorial area for how to use the shield. There we go. Got ourselves a throwing axe. Water. Boy, we are just being loaded down with items. Interesting way to begin a game. Now this is kind of chugging. This is not going at the speed I think it should be, and that might be caused by it running on the internal graphics in this laptop instead of off of the GPU. Like it might be running off the Intel graphics. So I need to take a second and find out what's going on there. This really should be running better. Let me turn off FPS limiting. Yeah, it should be running better than this. Give me a moment. I think I'm only getting like 30 FPS here, so I just saved. I'm gonna quit for a sec, and I'm gonna go in and this is really irritating. I hate gaming on a laptop. It's just what I have available at the moment. But on this machine in particular, in order to get stuff to run on the oh no, see, there you go. I could pick it right there. And that's what was selected. So that really should have been running faster than that. Huh. Oh yeah, the music's not... Okay, so far, my opinions on the game, it's really funny that OBS decided to select the graphics window as the entire screen. That's really, really funny. In what Calvin et al. speculating about. I think this is actually based on the build engine. I'm not sure what contortions they've gone through to obscure the internals. I'm sure they used a source port to achieve this. But the fact that it has a software renderer pretty much puts it in the bag, because nobody's going to write a software renderer from scratch just for a bit. You know, that's nuts. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if it's really running on this laptop has a built-in GeForce, like a GTX 1050, I guess. But I think that it's, even though I've selected it in the game, I think that the driver is automatically pushing it over to the built-in graphics. So I got to go in and figure that out. Oh, interesting. Go on the NVIDIA control panel, and it's saying that I have to use Windows to control which apps get which graphics card. Cool. That's convenient. Sure love that. Give me a second, folks. This won't take long. Well, I hope it won't take long. I guess I can't make that promise, can I? There we go. Select that. Yep. And then options. Put it on the 1050. Okay. All right. Let's try this bad boy again. Bing. Oh, wait. Is it still running? It is still running. There we go. Let me quit that. Restart it. In your last comment there, I don't remember what the context was. There was, I think there was somebody who was uploading like modern performances of medieval or other like early music, as the term goes, and there was one. Of course, it's all like miserable dirges by our standards, but one of them, which didn't sound that much less miserable or less dirge-like than the rest, they said this is actually this is music that you might have played at a party. So this is actually like this would be considered like a bumpin' dance track for the era. All right, so just continue from where we picked up, from where we left off. Yeah, I can't really put my finger on whether this is like. I'm really curious what engine they used for this. I'm sure it's old. I'm sure it's a source board of some kind, but I don't know if it's like build GDX or what. It has that energy, certainly. There's no map, I don't think. At least it's not on tab. So it doesn't seem to be a map there. There's actually, okay, so there's an inventory. Can we? Oh, I see. So, oh, all right. So there's actually weapons we can have for our offhand. Right now, we just have the shield. I don't see. There's a durability for the shield, but there isn't for the axe. So I'm going to guess that this the axe is forever. So yeah, the quality of the graphics, outstanding. Definitely, you know, all original, I'm sure, and they look really good. You know, I'm sure that hand there is a converted photograph of the developer's hand. All the, you know, the trees look pretty good, brushes, shrubs, etc. Spooter. Sound effects are nice and crisp. Oh, that's right. I've got a throwing axe now. Maybe I should try that. I ate a mushroom, and I got a couple of healths. Nice! Can I reclaim those axes? No! I have what? How many of those? Just 2 left? Okay. Yeah, the FPS here seems really low. Okay, I'm not sure if that was just rolling dice to decide if I hit him or if there's actually directional damage. It seemed like I attacked right over his shield if I pitched up a little bit. Could be. Whoa. Lights are flickering in here. So this is a funny thing. Bees. Oh God, this is a boomer shoot. Well, actually, no. Even Duke Nukem 3D didn't have anything as irritating as that. I think Shadow Warrior did, though. Anyway, so funny thing. So somebody was asking me earlier what the internet situation here is. For anybody who's not following anybody who's not a patron and has been following my behind-the-scenes stuff, you know, I'm not gonna give it all away. Oh, hang on a second. I just gotta pop up on my screen. I gotta clear. There we go. I'm not gonna give it all away for free, but yeah. So I moved into a studio here that is in downtown Seattle. Pretty obvious from any of the pictures that I posted. It's got the style of buildings down here. Pretty unmistakable. But the trouble with having a business downtown is the internet options suck. They used to suck a lot more. It used to be that, you know, you'd be limited unless you were willing to trench and bury cable. You were pretty much limited to a couple of megabits. It's pretty rough times. In fact, that problem's still happening kind of all over the region. I used to work at a place down in South King County where we could not get internet service faster than about 5 megabits. It was really truly reprehensible. Things have improved in a lot of places, but it's still pretty tough here. CenturyLink can't get anything better than 10 megs for this building. It's like a 10 by 1, I think. Hey Bitmap, this is Arthurian Legends, a modern game started in I think 2017 or thereabouts, which I believe is based on the build engine. Oops. Anyway, though, so this place here, CenturyLink couldn't get me any decent DSL, which is fine. I don't like DSL. I was hoping for fiber. No chance there. That's completely off the table unless I want to trench and bury for, you know, $8,000 or whatever or more. But I didn't want to go with Comcast if I could avoid it. But you know, you do what you got to do, and obviously, you know, they have the advantage of having cable in a lot of places. If that's what's there, then you got to go with what you got to get. So I signed up for Comcast Business. They only had one SKU available though. It was like, you know, obviously, look, hey, I'm a nerd since way back. We all know the score. You order internet. What do you want? You want a pipe with an Ethernet hole. You don't want any special features. You don't want any special equipment, and you sure as hell do not want the ISP's terrible plastic gateway that gets, you know, 20% bigger every year and has 1,000 features that you either have to turn off or can't turn off, right? So that's all I wanted, but they didn't have an option to just get a simple, oh no, I died. They didn't have an option for that, and I looked into 5G. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't find any sort of service that I could get here other than Comcast. So I ended up paying them for 200 by 20, which was a chunk of money. But again, I reminded myself that, look, I am literally being paid to do this. This is a business expense. The money's coming in. I can spend it on this. You know, it's not a splurge. It's what I need to do, and it's better than not having any. You know, I wouldn't be able to stream if I had gotten CenturyLink here, right? Or if I had gone with LTE or 5G wireless, I wouldn't be able to stream right now. It would be a disaster. It wouldn't work at all. Oh wow! If you just walk around the water, you can find and eat fish. Delicious. So yeah, I had to do what I had to do. So I got Comcast, and I ordered it online. I never talked to a salesperson, so I never had an opportunity to say, please don't bring me one of your great big battleship Technicolor Thompson Engineering garbage plastic gateways with Wi-Fi and whatnot. Just, please don't. I'm just going to get rid of it. So the guy came out to install it, and sure enough, he brought this great big battleship router. But here's the thing I'm driving at. What I learned is that apparently Comcast Business is feeling very pressured by CenturyLink Fiber. Just a moment. Oh my God, Brad, yes, I remember a T1 being legendary. Of course, the funny thing about that is that for before almost anybody I knew had broadband, I had a 1.5 megabit ADSL. It was like a 512 or 384 upload, right? So not that impressive, on the upload. But who was uploading back then in like 1999? But that's T1 speeds on the downstream, and nobody else had that when I got it. That was cool. I was thrilled about that. Anyway, this guy came out to install everything, and he hauls in this cart just loaded with gear. And I'm like, wait a minute, is this all, what is all this? And come to find out, when you get Comcast Business Internet, it comes with the modem itself, the modem gateway, whatever the hell thing, and it comes with a cradle point. In other words, that's a dual SIM LTE gateway, which they do in fact have 2 SIM cards in. So it's on like 2 different providers in case one goes down or their network goes down or the tower isn't reachable due to atmospheric effects or whatever. It'll actually fail over and use another provider. So there's 2 lines of LTE data service associated with this thing, and it came with a UPS. Like, it actually included a I think a 1500 volt amp UPS. And I'm looking at this and going, you know what? Normally, look, I know the score, man. I knew the score since old days, right? When the ISP tries to sell you a $28.95 a month equipment rental, you're getting screwed, right? Here's the thing, I'm not actually. It's wild, but I'm not. It's like $30 a month for all this extra crap. These are things I can actually use that are being sold to me or rented to me at a loss. Comcast is losing money on all of this because I happen to know that Cradle Point is like $400. The service that they have attached to it is extremely expensive, and the UPS, that's not cheap. That's like $150. When you add it all up, yeah, it's still the case that over the course of my first year of service, I'm probably going to pay for these things, and then I'll just be getting raked over the coals for them. But they are useful. The fact that I actually do have a UPS here is cool. If I set up something that, if I want to set something up, if I want to park like a Raspberry Pi over there, so I have some sort of remote access to, say, my data storage or something like that. If I've got drives here at the office, or maybe I've got a security system or something like that, and I just plug it into the UPS, like, I wasn't going to get a UPS. So it's kind of weird. And I said, like, this is a lot more stuff than I expected. And what I was told is basically, Comcast is really feeling the pinch because CenturyLink is selling people gigabit fiber for like $80 a month. And so Comcast has been sitting on this plan of selling people, like upselling people to all this, the UPS and the LTE backup and everything for like, I guess a couple of years, but couldn't figure out how to position it in the market. And then the CenturyLink fiber thing started happening, and they just gave up. There's like, let's just start subsidizing it. So they're just basically eating it. They're eating the cost of all this stuff so that people will continue buying Comcast instead of switching en masse to CenturyLink. And of course, the advantage here for me is that I can't, right? I never had an option here to get CenturyLink. Their service is just completely unacceptable. So I don't know for sure, but it seems possible that I'm actually basically profiting off of Comcast's worry that I'll switch to an ISP that was never in the cards anyway. So hey, I'll take it. I haven't done the math yet. Maybe it's not that good a deal. I don't know. But the point is that compared to my original, my typical nerd reaction of get that thing out of here, I actually decided to keep it for the time being. And it's the sort of thing where if I open up some other revenue streams, then that $30 a month is going to disappear into irrelevance anyway. So I could probably just ignore it and just take the benefits, and maybe someday I'll be like, oh wow, I'm really glad that I did that. I mean, to be fair, or to be sure, I don't know how reliable the Comcast service around here is. I have no idea. Maybe it goes down all the time. Hasn't happened yet, but it could. And if it does, I'm gonna be glad I've got that LTE. So it's one of those things where I think. Give me just a second. Can I alt tab out of this? I can't tell. Where's my mouse? Oh, there we go. I alt tab, but I could not find my mouse for a bit. Anyway, it's one of those things where one of the strange things about basically starting my own business, as it were, not that I wasn't already, but like taking it more seriously, is now I have to make decisions about things that can't just be completely off the cuff as they always have been. You know, my approach to decision making has always been like most people who are just consumers. You just do whatever's cheapest. You know, you want the basics. You know, you want you don't want to spend extra for stuff that you might not need, or for internet in particular, right? Like, you just want a pipe, right? You're not particularly concerned about things like, not even necessarily concerned about security, right? Or about uptime, right? Sure, we'd all like our internet to be up all the time, but if it isn't, you just sort of shrug and dick around on your phone. Well, what if I end up expanding my, oh wow, that dog caught fire. What if I end up expanding my whole, sort of empire, if you will, and start doing stuff that really can't tolerate interruption? Suppose that I'm here interviewing somebody and the power goes out. Well, if my internet stays up, or the Comcast service goes out and the LTE kicks in, if that prevents me from losing an entire interview with somebody because my machine dies or the internet's not up, then hey, that's money in the bank, right? Like, that was worth it. It all pays off. So I have to actually think about stuff like that now. And of course, it's kind of hard to do at home anyway because I've got the whole house and there's a lot of stuff going on in the video game. I should probably concentrate on that for a moment. Really visceral kind of blood sound effects and whatnot. Wow. I jibbed that guy. Whatever. Never know how to pronounce that. Anyway, I've just been rambling for a bit. But you catch my drift. It's strange having your perspective shift as you, change what you're doing with your time. So that it's no longer just about you and your bumming around at home, right? Why does my internet connection at home matter? Because of YouTube. Because I'm watching videos, because I'm playing a video game or whatever. If it goes down, it's like whatever. It's just me. And it's weird having that perspective change. Oh, I don't know what that means. Did I level up? Wow, so far I feel like in this game I'm kind of constantly running on empty as far as health goes. Don't love that. There we go. Finish the first level. Now, do we get a cutscene or anything, or do we just go right into the next one? Yeah, I looked at the... I don't remember how I learned about this game, but I just sort of looked at the preview videos on Steam, and I just said, hey, this looks well made. This looks like somebody put their back into it. It does suffer from what people call boomer shooters, kind of problems. Like for instance, just now that guy, I started out a level with a guy shooting me from a location that I couldn't see due to the light fall off. That's a bummer, right? Didn't like that back in the day when people didn't know any better. Don't like it now. Oh my God! Wait a minute. I'm sure that Monty Python movie is still copyrighted. Can they just do that? Here, let's try this thing out. Oh, damn, son. Yeah. So in general, my take this game looks good, and I think I recommend it. Pardon me. Got a head here. So I'm probably gonna bail here on this game in a minute. I'm coming up on about 2 hours 40 on my stream. I like to do 3-hour streams. And I do actually, for anybody who hasn't seen it, I would like to briefly run through Tech War, because there's not much to show. You sort of find out what the score is in that game really fast. And I just like to show what else came out of Capstone. So let me save this. Yeah, cool game. Maybe I'll play more of this in the future. It's fun. It's definitely a good game. Didn't really expect it to be this good. I have the feeling that it might. I wonder if it sort of bogs down and gets, you know, less. Oh, there we go. Whew. Music was getting. Whew. A little repetitive. I do wonder if this bogs down and stops introducing new interesting elements. You know, that's always a concern, but oh, that's really cute. When you exit the game, it gives you the standard text mode DOS please buy our game prompt. That's adorable. Electrocute the shit out of enemies. This is funny, and it's got a little bit of edge, but it's not too edgy. Not edgy enough to be worrying. Yeah, 100. I hear you. That would be cool. I got too much going on today, but in the future, yeah, it would actually it would be really neat to basically do a stream and then quit and then go see friends for a little bit. That'd be fun. Okay, give me a minute. I got to set up here. I'm going to mute myself for a moment. Daria is having a difficult time with a computer. All right, let me set up one more game here. So this is Tech War. This is also running on. Oops. Yeah, that's what I want. It's also running on Build GDX. That's not what I wanted. Alright, so, yeah, welcome to Tech War. I know it's a little loud. I'll take care of that soon. God. Again, this video has been very naively converted. So I think this came out after the TV show. So I assume this is just footage from the TV show. This is kind of unwatchable.
I'm William Shatner, sometimes known as Walter Bascom, in a future I created called Tech War. Welcome to Capstone, and prepare to witness the technology of the future today in Tech War, the game of CD-ROM.
Really? The game contains an advertisement for itself?
I'll keep it short and simple. Tech chip, tech headset. Tech user. Tech fantasy. Tantalizing. But only for a while. For here are some tech realities. Addiction. Criminal penalties. Neural damage. Death. Simple enough?
Yeah, like elements of this look kind of cool, you know? Why does this game contain an advertisement for itself? It's still doing it. Oh yeah, here we go. Here's the capstone intro. The pinnacle of entertainment software. Okay. I'm just going to inform you that I already know for a fact it is impossible for me to go, oh, this game's actually good. It isn't. It is horrible. Oh, holy crap, it's raining.
Yeah, the storm moved then.
Beautiful.
It's super windy out.
Wimby. Yeah, that would be why the lights are flickering. We might end up needing that UPS.
It only has one outlet, it looks like.
Oh, really? No, it's got 6. They're all in the back.
I didn't see them, but I didn't want to fuck with anything inside.
Yeah, I won't fuck. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the cinematics in games, the FMV stuff, is just, yeah, they had the space, right? And particularly with 3D, it's just so easy to generate video. You know, you can make so much of it. I've never watched the cinematics in this game. This is moving so slow. I might skip this because this could be an hour long for all I know. Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it's really a mess. I'm going to skip this intro. Oh, okay. Huh. I guess we're cloning. I'm going to skip that. All right, so here's the deal. This game is broken into essentially episodes or missions. So you've got 7 missions, and you have to kill each one of these guys, basically. And then at the end, you get to go to cyberspace and experience that. I recommend, if you would like to know more about Tech War, because you're not going to get much from this. This game is unplayable. If you'd like to know more about Tech War, I recommend you look up the GDQ run from a couple years ago. I will warn you, it is literally a horrible epileptic trigger. Like the whole back half of the game is literally a strobe light. It is unwatchable. The front half of it is only notionally a strobe light because the guy is moving so fast that you can barely make out what's going on. But truth be told, it is really not much harder to understand than any other part of this game because this game is ungoddamn playable. Anyway, let's see some more William Shatner.
Quick, I'm uptown, and I just saw Marty Dollar. Get down here and help me bring him in. You start near Midtown and work your way through the area.
I don't know if these cinematics give you any useful information. Okay, so this game had a lot of ambitious ideas, which again, they were unable to finish. This subway, for instance, actually works and is necessary. You actually, I believe, can't really do anything from this part of the game where you start. You actually have to get on the subway, but let's just explore a little bit. So, here are the ambitious parts. We have a functioning subway, which literally, yep, there we go. All that stuff is there. You are here. Huge area. You can see the skylights up there. The grates have matching shadows. You're on the floor. Haha, very clever. And then modeled bathroom. Here's me, weird Terminator-looking dude. They bothered to model the sink. And then complex lighting. Obviously, goes well into the looks like a real place angle that Duke Nukem 3D took. Give me just a moment. Okay, I just heard the lights are flickering back home, so I might lose power everywhere. Give me just a moment. I need to go jump into my desktop PC and shut it down gracefully. Give me just a second. Additionally, yeah, so the scale, the sense of scale is all off in this game. And also, you may have noticed that the character that was taking a shit a moment ago was definitely not actually supposed to be doing that. That sprite was clearly intended for them just like cowering in fear, but instead they just grabbed a frame that looked sort of like he was sitting down and used that. So not a good sign there. Oh shoot! Let me explain. I'll explain what just happened there in a moment. Where the hell is it? Is it tab? Okay. All right. So the game is supposed to have like complex AI. They all claim that. It's supposed to have complex AI, where every character can have a different opinion of you based on your actions that they've observed and that sort of thing. I'm sorry, let me turn the volume down. I just realized it's too loud. There, that should be a little more manageable. Of course, you got the cops, and the cops are supposed to shoot at you if you pull a gun, so you can holster your gun. So if I pull this out, he doesn't shoot me immediately. I have an opportunity to put it away. Right? Okay. So that's cool. Kind of, ambitious. Sort of suggests things are gonna. Yeah. Well, it doesn't hold up. We have more of Capstone's very poorly digitized graphics, very bland, very bleak colors because they just naively converted these, and then the squished door texture doesn't really fit. There's a bunch of ammo in here for no reason, right? So already the lie is falling apart. Your character also absolutely flies. I don't know if you're noticing this, but your sideways momentum here is so enormous that if you strafe run, you just absolutely hurtle around the world. Okay, yeah, so when you start out here, you can't actually go anywhere. You gotta take the train. So we'll go jump on the train here as soon as it comes around. By the way, the train is not actually an extension to the build engine. This is actually something that was totally possible in the original Duke Nukem 3D, and they did this in the original Duke Nukem 3D. You just didn't really notice it because it was on only a couple of levels. But yeah, you can have a whole chunk of level geometry just move around freely like this, along with doors and everything. Pretty cool. All right, so this I believe is the section we need to be in. I think it's just the first station that you go to. Full up on ammo. Genetic security checkpoint points kind of suggests some elements of the plot. Anyway, so that's a loading trigger. So this is actually a game with a hub world, and here is where things break down rapidly. I'm gonna see if I can save. All right, so welcome to the city. It's huge. There's all these buildings. And what's supposed to happen is that we now start exploring and I think talking to people and trying to find the building we're looking for, picking up items, finding key cards, blah, blah, blah. None of it works because we get out here. Nope. Okay, I'm already being shot at because they never finished the AI. So instead, they just put all the enemies on full bore attack constantly mode at all times, and they're all hit scan. So as soon as you get out there, things start shooting at you and there's nothing you can do about it. If you pull your weapon, the cops start shooting at you. So you basically have to play this game by killing absolutely everyone. Now, a saving grace is that your default weapon, rather than being melee, is actually this unlimited ammo stun gun. So you can use this to, if for some reason you take this game seriously, you can decide to, and if innocents are in the way, you can use this thing to knock them down instead of killing them. Not that there's any point. You can, if you want, just not kill anybody, but it's, again, pointless because they didn't finish the game. Although technically, I don't have any. Oh, okay. So these aren't actually civilians. These are actually robots with bombs in them. Great. Wow, the lights are flickering really bad here. My stream is going to cut off any moment now, which will be really appropriate because this train wreck is going to turn into a train wreck of a stream as well. Yeah, I think I don't know if this was intended or if it was, again, a response to the game never being finished, but basically, yeah, a bunch of the enemies just bunch of the civilians will just run up to you and explode. Yeah, the game's just unplayable. When I was a kid, I tried playing it. Couldn't really do it without God mode, because this is actually one of the tamer levels. In the later ones, it's just continuous, unending hail of hit scan weapons, and you can't see where most of them are. There's enemies like up in the air that you can't even really reach. Obviously, you know, I'm under constant threat of being hit by these walking bombs. You have to kill the cops. You know, there's enemies everywhere with guns. It's just a cluster. It's a complete cluster. You see how much of my time I'm spending with my screen red. Okay, and then there's just like huge weapons all over the place. So this guy here is this like basically rocket launcher, essentially. Like it packs so much punch that it just gibs everybody you hit, usually. And I think so. By default, check this out. So if you fire this thing, it sort of wobbles all over the place because you're supposed to pick up this guy, which is the targeting scanner for it, and that causes it to fire straight. So they put them right next to each other, so it's not really an upgrade so much as it is just if you walk out of the place without grabbing it, you wouldn't have it. And again, I think in the finished game, these probably would have been tucked into more reasonable places, like people's closets, you know, in the buildings that the enemies live and work in, that sort of thing. But instead, it's just scattered around the world nonsensically. Everyone fires so fast. As soon as they see you, they just start hit scan shooting you. So you don't really have any reaction time. It's pretty much impossible to do anything without taking damage. Let me see. This is a source port. Can I just do like give weapons? There we go. All right, so I can show you the other weapons. So there's this guy here, just sort of a laser gun. This guy here, sort of like a taser kind of thing. It's like a, I don't know if this is a machine gun or a flamethrower or what it is. Got this sort of gigantic RPG. Like, not very compelling weapons, honestly, you know? The whole thing is just, yeah, not very well made. Another random enemy just hit scanning me. So yeah, frankly, this is not really as wacky as it gets. It gets wackier than this. The first level is kind of tame. If you go to the later ones, it's just an absolute mess. Just constant noise, constant. Your screen is red all the time. You don't know what's shooting you. You can't see anything. There's snipers. It is just an absolute disaster. So this is actually the bad guy, and I think I killed him already. Let me find I think the mission's going to end in a moment. Okay, I think it just chills for a bit, and then the mission will just end. Unless I'm supposed to do something here. You know what? Oh, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm misremembering. I think maybe I just got like the blue key card or something, and now I get to go to the central building, I believe, and I can finish this level. I think if I recall that the person who ran this on GDQ was saying like Q&A. Why do you run this? Why did you decide to start running this? I don't know. It was just there because it is kind of nuts. So I don't know. Oh, I wonder if the mission here was actually to like capture this prototype weapon or something. And maybe I can't finish it because I artificially gave myself all the items. I don't know. Anyway, it's a disaster. It's highly ambitious. It's not good. It's bad. All right. I think I should shut down because the power here is flickering so badly that I think I'm going to be shut down on my own anyway. And I might as well probably unplug a few things. Plus, I think we're coming up. Oh yeah, you know what? bam, just hit 3 hours. So that is the length of stream I wanted anyway. Pardon me. Anyway, yeah, that was fun. I really like streaming from the new place. I'd like to maybe do it more. Depending on things, maybe I try streaming on my main channel again and see if I can get a little more interest in it, because I was getting like 150 plus concurrent views on there. It might be nice to go back there and try and do that again, if I can get more on point kind of content. I think maybe what I did today, I don't think really fits there, but there might be other things I could do on there that would be. So anyway, thanks for joining, everyone. For some, I love it when we can hang out and talk about capstone games in particular. It's a shame there weren't more of them. I wish they had stuck around and made at least 100 games. Instead, I think they made like less than 20. But yeah, I have a lot of other stuff on the stack now. Maybe next time I'm going to try and do Defiance, and I think we'll have a good time with that. Maybe after I get, it'll probably be after I get a good streaming setup for using something that isn't a modern Windows 11 PC. If I can get, in the past, it's been difficult for me to stream games that have to run on an older machine. I used to have a capture setup for it, but that was back when I had a lot less stuff. And once I started accumulating more and more stuff for the videos for the channel, I just sort of ran out of room to have a consistent setup where I could capture over VGA from an old computer. But here I've got the room. At this place I've got the room, so I'll be able to cobble together some sort of. I'm hopefully going to get something like a little roll around cart that'll just have like a PC on it that's just gonna run streams, and it'll have like a capture box on there and a mixer and stuff like that. So I can just roll it over, plug in a PC, whichever one I'm going to use today, and when I'm done, I'll just push it all into the corner, and it won't be a huge project to put it together and take it apart. So hopefully I'll have something like that ready to go this coming Sunday, and we'll play Defiance then. You're going to like it. It's a cool game. Not a great game necessarily, but a cool game. Very interesting idea. Would have been neat to see it executed better. Hope you had a good time today, and thanks for watching.